Good evening. We're ready to begin. This planning session is now called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and is posted in compliance with the open meeting law. We're live on KCLV Channel 2, and this meeting will be rebroadcast Saturday at 10 a.m., the following Monday at midnight, Tuesday at 5 a.m., and Thursday at 6 p.m. Would you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Buckley?
Present.
Commissioner Quinn?
Here.
Commissioner Evans?
Present.
Chair Trowbridge?
Present.
Vice Chair Truesdale?
Present.
Commissioner Goins?
Present.
Commissioner Ellsworth?
Here.
We have a quorum. I call your attention to the information printed in your agenda concerning our actions and the appeal and review process, if appropriate. Please read this carefully, and if you have any questions, staff is available. Also, the second page of the agenda contains our rules of conduct. We appreciate your adhering to these rules so we can have a smooth meeting. Thank you very much. Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the January 8th, 2009 Planning Commission meeting?
So moved.
Motion has been made. Please cast your vote. Opposed? Motion carries. Now let's move on to our housekeeping items. Are there any items that commissioners, staff, applicants, or members of the public would like to pull forward for action?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Item 13, the applicant has requested that this item be held in abeyance to the March 12th Planning Commission so that they can continue working on possible landscape solutions. Items number 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25, the applicant has requested that these items be tabled so that they can work with the neighbors. Item number 30, the applicant has requested that this application be withdrawn without prejudice as they are redesigning the site. And staff is requesting that items number 40, 41, and 42 be heard after item 12 on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone here wish to speak on any of these items? Seeing none, Vice Chair Truesdale,
Mr.
is there a
Chairman.
motion regarding housekeeping?
I make a motion we bring these items forward and follow staff's recommendations.
Thank you. Motion's been made. Please cast your votes. Motion carries. Okay, we now, there are no consent items, so we can move to the one motion, one vote items. The following items that may be considered in one motion, one vote. They are considered routine, non-public, and public hearing items. All public hearings and non-public hearings will be open at one time. Any person representing an applicant or member of the public or a member of the Planning Commission not in agreement with the conditions and all standard conditions for the application recommended by staff should request to have that item removed from this part of the agenda. Item number 6 is special use permit 32606. The applicant is Clearwater US LLC. The owner is the City of Las Vegas. It's for an 8-foot wireless communication facility, non-stealth design, slimline monopole at 4217 Vegas Drive. Item number 7 is a special use permit 32815. The applicant is Super Bail Bonds, Inc. The owner is Harrison Properties Limited for a proposed bail bond service at 729 South Las Vegas Boulevard. Item number 8 is a special use permit 32821. The applicant is Verizon Wireless. The owner is Horse Mint Storage Partners LLC, and it's for a proposed 70-foot tall wireless communication facility of stealth design, monopom, at 8525 Oso Blanco Road. Item number 9 is RQR 31982. The applicant owner is Harrison Properties LL Limited. Required review and approved special use permit for a second-hand dealership at 713 South Las Vegas Boulevard. Item number 10 is SNC 32359. The applicant owner is the City of Las Vegas. Is from Discovery Drive to Symphony Park Avenue between Martin Luther King Boulevard and Grand Central Parkway. Item number 11 is a vacation 32645. The applicant owner is W. Douglas Hitt Family Trust, and it's to vacate U.S. property patent easements generally located adjacent to the northwest corner of Deer Springs Way and Durango Drive. No one wishes to speak on these items, so
Mr. Chairman, with regard to item 11, I'm going to abstain on that item as I do have a business relationship with regards to this property.
okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to make the motion on 6 through 11?
Mr. Chairman, move to approve one motion, one vote, item 6 through 11, as read in, subject to all staff's recommendations and condition.
Thank you. Please cast your vote. Motion carries with the understanding that Vice Chairman Truesdale was abstaining on number 11.
All items go forward to City Council on March 18th.
We now move to item number 12, and the companion items behind them.
No, they'll be followed.
They'll be-
not companion.
Okay, all right, okay. Listen to the boss. Okay. General Plan Amendment, item number 12 is General Plan Amendment 27003. The applicant owner is the City of Las Vegas. Is to adopt a transportation and streets and highways element and revise the 2020 master plan. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, as you're aware, we have already had an adopted master plan of streets and highways map. Following that, we now have a transportation and streets and highways element, which is required by NRS. The proposed element that you have before you has 6 essential recommendations. I'll go through those very quickly with you, if you wouldn't mind. Recommendation number 1 is relative to improving consistency between transportation and land use decision. Talks about the relationship between land use, street width, also has some recommendations relative to neighborhood traffic management, and encourages incentives for transit-oriented development. Recommendation number 2 is relative to the requirements for federal and state funding. Recommendation number 3 is to coordinate regional agencies to plan for transportation improvements, and talks about our relationship with the Regional Transportation Commission and encourages that we work together with them for projects such as the current BRT route that's under development in the downtown area and other pedestrian studies and transit studies that they work on concurrently with us. Recommendation number 4 is relative to pursuing funding sources for street improvements. In addition to looking for funding from our general fund, also pursuing outside sources for our street improvements. Recommendation number 5 deals with aesthetic issues relative to our streets, enhancing our streets and also enhancing safety for pedestrians and cyclists along our streets. And then finally, recommendation number 6 of the plan talks about coordinating with regional entities in terms of air quality. And this addresses things such as pursuing ride-sharing and carpooling programs, encouraging the development of park and ride lots, and other measures that reduce our vehicle miles and pollutants in the valley. That concludes my presentation. I'll go ahead and take your questions at this time.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the planning commissioners? Seeing none, I recommend motions in order.
Public.
We have public comments. Any members of the public wish to speak on the matter? The public hearing is open. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And
Mr. Chairman, I move that we follow staff's recommendations for approval.
motion has been made. Please cast your votes. Thank you. The motion carries.
And that'll be on the March 18th City Council meeting.
And as requested, we are now going to jump to item number 40, which is a TXT 32864. The applicant owner is the City of Las Vegas, to amend the Town Center Development Standards Manual to update standards for the car wash use. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, this is primarily corrective in nature to correct the title of the use and then also to make the standards similar to those contained in Title 19. And we would recommend approval of this text amendment.
Thank you. I'd like to declare the public hearing open. Anyone in attendance wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed and turn it over to the planning commissioners for discussion and possible motion.
If there are no comments, I make a motion for approval subject to staff's recommendations.
Motion's been made. Please cast your votes. Motion carries.
Goes forward to council in ordinance form.
Item number 41 is a text 32865. The applicant is the City of Las Vegas. It's to amend the City of Las Vegas zoning ordinance, Title 19, to update and revise various requirements and make corrections and clarifications as appropriate to chapters 19.04, 19.06, 19.08, 19.16, 19.18, and 19.20. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, this is what we call one of our casserole text amendments, where we throw a lot of corrective actions together under one text amendment. I'll go through these very quickly. Number one, we're adding some uses that we don't currently have listed in Title 19. There's been a number of applicants that we've had at the Development Services Center, and so we're adding some uses that we don't currently have in order to facilitate the licensing process and development process for them. We're also removing our building step-back requirements from collector streets, as there has been a continual conflict with our residential adjacency requirements, and so we would request to delete that section. Under general revisions and corrections, one of the things that we are proposing is that pet boarding would become a conditional use in the C1 and C2 districts. Also, we would propose that a special use permit be required for all public or private schools. This is in accordance with the schools element that we just recently adopted. We were also proposing that a waiver of distance be instituted for taverns that are within a GO gaming overlay district. And then finally, we are also recommending that the time limit approvals for site development plan reviews and special use permits expire at the time set at the time of approval. And then finally, one other correction that we're making is to our mixed-use regulations. Number one, we're revising the definition to clarify what a mixed-use development is in terms of vertical integration of uses. Also, we're proposing that mixed-use developments become a conditional use rather than requiring a special use permit in commercial districts. And then relative to the standards themselves, we're allowing additional lot coverage. We're also proposing that there be additional surface parking lot screening requirements and discuss how residential uses are treated within a mixed-use development. I also need to add as a note, we are going to be proposing as a future text amendment some revisions to the mixed-use parking standards. You'll see that at a future meeting, and that will be separate and apart from this. That concludes my presentation, and I'll go ahead and take your questions now.
Thank you. I'd like to open the item for public discussion. Anyone in attendance wish to speak on this matter?
If I may, Chairman, just reference that many of these items the Commission has seen before as part of the mixed-use and transit-oriented development standards that were brought forward to you. That was held up in part due to the issue with regard to gaming properties, and so we're bringing these back as ones that we believe should be able to move forward and still accommodate new projects as we had anticipated.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Please. Well, let me, seeing no one wishing to come forward under the public hearing, I declare the public hearing closed and defer to Mr. Evans.
Yes. Flynn, if I may, can you clarify for me the part about the tavern distances in a gaming overlay?
Certainly. Within our tavern regulations currently, there are certain instances where you can request a waiver from the tavern distance separation requirements. In this case, what we're proposing is that within a gaming overlay, and there are very few of those within the city of Las Vegas, the one that comes to mind currently is in the area specifically around the Stratosphere, which is designated as a gaming overlay. We have several more that came about as part of the changes to NRS in 1997. What we're proposing here with this is that the 1,500-foot separation distance requirement between taverns be allowed to be waived upon approval by City Council within a gaming overlay.
Would that have any impact on our entertainment district, where I think we've eliminated the distance requirements where we specifically want the density?
No, it would not have any impact on the entertainment district.
That's not part of a gaming overlay?
No, it's not part of a gaming overlay. There's also different licensing regulations for the entertainment district that requires them to have, number one, entertainment, and there's no gaming that's permitted in the entertainment district. So there are some distinctions between those two, and no, we don't feel that these will conflict.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. I read through this and I, surprisingly missed the issue with regard to the tavern establishment, and I'm at a loss because I find myself at a grand conflict with what is proposed and what I believe is right. So I at this point, have nothing more than to abstain from this item. But
Any other comments from Planning Commission members? Okay. I guess a motion is in order then?
I guess I need to make this a better disclaimer. I own an interest in property within the gaming overlay district with a existing tavern, which would be directly affected by this ordinance change. So there's a monetary effect on my tenants, and so I'm going to abstain on this item.
Thank you. Motion then?
If there's no discussion, I'm prepared to make a motion on the text amendment following the recommendation of the staff. My motion would be to follow their recommendation for approval of agenda item number 41, TXT 32865.
Motion's been made. Please cast your votes. Opposed? Motion carries with one extension.
Goes forward to council in ordinance form.
Item number 42 is another text, 32866. The applicant is the City of Las Vegas. It's to remove Chapter 13.28, the street naming and address assignment standards, from Title 13 and incorporate said standards within the City of Las Vegas zoning ordinance, Title 19, and update and revise the City of Las Vegas street naming and address assignment regulations, 1993 edition. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, this proposed text amendment relative to our street naming standards is relative to a countywide 911 committee that has been meeting over the past year to address street addressing and naming assignments valley-wide. And so the recommendations that you have before you are based on the committee work that has been done by the emergency response teams in order to have some consistency between the different jurisdictions in the valley. Also, as noted, our last version of the document was last updated in 1993, so there are a number of clarifications and other things that we are making along with this. The most significant change is that we're moving our street naming and address assignment regulations from Title 13 of the Municipal Code to Title 19, which is the zoning section of the code. So thereby that should make that a little bit easier for our applicants and property owners as they deal with street naming. Staff would recommend approval of the changes and seek your approval as well.
Thank you. I'd like to declare the public hearing open and ask anyone in attendance wishing to speak on this item, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed and turn the matter over to the Planning Commissioners for discussion and possible action.
If there are no other comments, I'll make a motion for approval of item 42, subject to all staff's recommendations.
Motion's been made for approval. Please cast your votes. Motion carries.
Item goes forward to council in ordinance form.
Thank you. A lot of staff work went into those and not a lot of discussion, but that just shows the confidence and the hard work. That last item about the naming of the streets and the updating of that policy sounds like just so much gobbledygook, but that's a very key element of public safety, is where they find the address they're trying to respond to. We now move to item number 14, special use permit 32-148. The applicant is Summerlin Massage Nevada, LLC. The owner is JMK Boca Pad, LLC. for a proposed 3,193 square foot massage establishment with waivers to allow for the establishment to remain open until 10 p.m., where 9 p.m. is the latest allowed, and to allow for a 0-foot distance separation from another massage establishment where 1,000 feet is the minimum distance required at 8950 West Charleston Boulevard, Suite Number 7. Staff report.
Mr. Chairman, this item was held in abeyance in order to clarify an issue regarding a development agreement that is in place at this location. Staff has reviewed the zone change that installed the development agreement, and we refer to Section 2.2 of the development agreement, which indicates that the land use within the Boca Park Marketplace will be developed in accordance with the City of Las Vegas Planning and Development Zoning Ordinance for C1 uses. As such, a massage establishment is a use that can be permitted in C1 upon adoption of a special use permit. In regard to the special use permit, staff is unable to support the request due to the waivers and finds that it is not a compatible use, and it recommends denial. There were additional comments received after printing.
Thank you. I'd like to open the public hearing and turn it over to the applicant to explain his position on the request.
Yes, good evening, Chairman and members. My name is Matthew Dushoff, 3320 West Sahara. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody being here for me. Somehow I don't think that's correct, but I figured I'd throw that in there. I think, Chairman Trowbridge, you brought up an issue, as I saw it on video last time. I represent Massage Envy in this matter. And one of the issues brought up was when Euphoria came up. And Euphoria came up and said, hey, wait a minute, we're a massage establishment inside this 1,000-foot area. Because I think that's what we're really talking about, is the 1,000-foot. And there are 4 establishments inside the 1,000-foot that have a massage license. I dare say they are not massage establishments, but they have a massage license. And I think there is a vast difference for that, and I'd like to discuss that. Is there a difference in the actual licensing? No, but in practicality, absolutely. Let's talk about the first one. First of all, Las Vegas Code says a massage establishment has to be open and used for the purpose of massages. The county code, which I'm just bringing it just for reference, talks about establishments having their main source of income from doing massages. Henderson as well has that. Now let's talk about the 4 establishments within inside the 1,000 feet. Fabulous Freddy's Car Wash will not be confused with a massage establishment. I think we can all agree, hopefully agree on that, although they do have a massage license. The Loft, which does, admitted, I think last time they heard, it had 95% hair and nail and a very small percentage massage. They also have a license. I dare say they're not a massage establishment as well. Body and Soul, which do Pilates and yogas and don't do massage, but they do have a license. And last but not least, and I think the issue that was before you was Euphoria. And you wanted some information regarding Euphoria. Well, I found out some information. They are a 9,000 square foot building, and they have exactly 1 massage room. You talked about whether it was ancillary to their business, and that was important to you for a waiver. I submit to you it's absolutely ancillary to the business when a 9,000 square foot building that focuses on hair and nail only has 1 massage room. The only true massage establishment in this area would be Massage Envy, which would have 13 massages, and our only purpose and main purpose is to do massages in that area. Merely because you have that license shouldn't make it as so as you being an establishment. Because, face it, Freddy's Car Wash is not a massage place. They do have a license. Massage Envy is not something that the intent of the statute was supposed to keep out. The intent of the statute is when you're talking about some of these massage establishments that are less than credible. Massage Envy is a major corporation that does nothing but massages, hires the most professional of people, and does things on the up and up. You know it. I don't have to sell them to you. We are truly the only massage establishment in this area. We're asking for you to waive the 1,000-foot. They have licenses, yes, but they're not. Those 4 establishments that I went through are truly not massage establishments, because the massage that they do there is a purely ancillary part of their business. So I request that you, unfortunately, not follow staff's recommendation, but go forward and give us the opportunity to practice and to open up here at Boca Park. If you have any questions, please.
Thank you. Anyone in attendance wish to speak on this matter, as the public hearing is open?
My name is Donna Catafamo. I represent the Euphoria Salon and Day Spa in Boca Park. He, again, has come with half information. I was here last month. There is a massage school directly across the street with less than 1,000 feet away from the project that he wants to develop. If he did his research, he would find that we have 3 rooms. One is established only and solely for massage. The other 2 are aesthetic, and State Board of Cosmetology recently changed their law that allows us to use those other 2 rooms for either massage or for aesthetic purposes. And we have nothing but problems in our other locations where we have facilities next to us, such as this one, that bring in less than desirable customers into our shopping center and also into our parking lot. So we strongly, strongly oppose this.
What are the locations of your other establishments that have?
Not necessarily Massage Envy, but Massage somewhat in the same community. We are sandwiched right now in between. There is a bar and grill, and the bar, three wives. Just last year, there was a couple that was parked at 5 o'clock in the morning in our parking lot having sexual intercourse in the car directly in front of, coming out of the bar. We have so much problems at Boca Park recently, and it's not just the drinking, there's just robberies, there's so many problems that we've had. I just think that this will do nothing but create more problems in that shopping center.
Thank you.
Would you like this?
Yes, please. Do you want to give it to the clerk and she can put it in file for future use?
Yeah, and that's a full school doing massage. And I just want to reiterate that we have 3 full rooms that are licensed to do full massage, and we have a large revenue coming out of massage. And he's a couple hundred feet down the same in the same shopping center, 2 buildings over from where we exist in that location.
Thank you.
Okay?
Anyone else wishing to speak? Sir?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. I've got a question for Dr. Scott. If a business does not use its license for a certain period of time, do they lose that license, or does it stay forever or whatever?
Mr. Chairman? Chairman, do you want to answer? No. Licenses go with the individuals. Special use permits go with the site. So if a site hasn't used its special use permit within 2 years, that normally goes away. As long as the owner of the license continues to pay their fees, the license will continue.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on the matter? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed and offer the applicant the opportunity to respond to that.
I appreciate that, and I would never come here without doing my homework.
And if you would, while you're responding, would you please give some justification for the additional waiver from 9 p.m. till 10 p.m.?
Absolutely. And I tell you what, I've spoken with the clients. I don't have a problem if you want to do it. We can drop that from 10 p.m. to 9 p.m. If that's going to be something to hold, we'll stay open just till 9 p.m. I don't have a problem with that. I think the issue I want to talk about is the 1,000 feet and the issues that Euphoria brought up about having 3 rooms out of 9,000 square feet. We called over there and went over there. We called, we set up appointments over there. They said, sorry, we only have 1 massage room. It's not the fact that I'm making this up, and we can bring in our investigators and our people that went over there and our attorneys that went over there to ask, how many massage rooms do you have? If I have 3 people coming in for massage, they said, sorry, you do 1 at a time. We only have 1 massage room. If she's telling us they have 3 now, that's news to me because the people that we went over there and when we called over there, they said they only have 1. But even if assuming that they have 3, we have 13. 3 out of a 9,000 square foot building is still not a massage establishment, but I would ask for a waiver of the 1,000 feet in this. And as to people having sex in the parking lot, that has absolutely nothing to do with massage envy. She's throwing a red herring at you to get you scared about, which I know didn't work, but to throw out that massage envy by implication is going to have people coming out there having sex in the parking lot, I think will probably news to everybody out here and news to you as well. And frankly, I'm offended by such. We are nothing but professional. They are a professional group, Euphoria, and they're a great business, but so are we. And we would never, ever stand for such action. Thank you.
What about the comments regarding the massage school across the street?
Well, I'm going through what city put forward of who has a massage license. Those are massage schools which they train the people over there and their students. They're not professionals with their license. And the city didn't even list that as being one of the entities within the 1,000 feet. So I was going off the 4 entities. And city, correct me if I'm wrong, but was that not listed within the 1,000 feet?
It is listed within the 1,000 feet, and it's in the staff report in the backup as the last item on there, and it's on your special area map.
All right. And I apologize if I missed it.
It's just listed, but it's not on the special map.
Yes, and the issue is that the distance separation is not required from the school, and that is discussed in your staff report.
Thank you.
If there's anything else, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Well, the public hearing is closed, so now I'd like to turn the matter over to the planning commissioners for discussion. Thank you. They may have questions for you.
Thank you.
Chairman, if I may.
Where are we, sir?
The burden is on you as the applicant to explain to us why we should grant you this exception. Okay? I haven't heard an explanation yet as to why. I mean, why is this important to you? Why should we allow you to have this this use permit? What's the justification? I haven't heard it yet. Unless I've missed it.
I apologize. I thought that all that was brought up last time, and I do humbly apologize for Mr. Cook, who was driving in from Kingman here. But Massage Envy sees a need for their services, which right there at Boca Park with that area, and they looked at that area and they shopped that area. They are one of the finest massage establishments, frankly, I've seen in the country. They have an incredible service, and they see a need for that area because, frankly, there is a dearth of massage establishments in that area. There isn't a quality massage place in that area, and that's what they want to do. And they see a great opportunity in Boca Park, which is probably in the city one of the top shopping centers there is, and they have an opportunity to get those people and provide them such a service that really in that area they don't have. And they're able to provide that service for them, and that's what they're looking to do.
So your point is it doesn't conflict with the existing establishments?
No, it definitely. I don't believe.
Do you compete against the existing establishments?
I don't think it competes against the existing establishments at all because there are, as I discussed, there are no true massage establishments within 1,000 feet. Fabulous Freddy's Car Wash, all these people, they have licenses, but they don't truly practice massage therapy. It's an ancillary part of their business. This would be the only massage establishment in this area. They're the only ones that will be doing this with 12 rooms for individuals and a 13th room for couples. They're the only ones. They're the only ones offering this type of service in this area. That's when they see the need for this in this area. That's why they were coming forth for the Boca Park. They were searching a lot of areas, and they found this area in this center to be advantageous to them and, frankly, to the community as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Please.
A couple of quick questions.
Sure.
Not necessarily to you, but I think more directed to our staff. My understanding of the applicant, this Massage Envy, is that he is top shelf in terms of that industry. I recall he was here once before, and all the backup spoke glowing of the business. But But I think what we're doing is we're looking at a special use permit and trying to determine whether or not there would be sufficient reason to grant your business. And the part of the objection is the density of other massage establishments. I think what you're saying is that the others, it's only a small part of their business. Euphoria, I'm assuming, is a hair and nail and a day spa type operation. My question is, perhaps for the staff, obviously they have a special use permit for some aspect of massage, the Euphoria. I'm assuming the Fabulous Freddy's, it's just a chair massage while you wait for your car wash. Either
we hope
that
that is, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say either that or it's... But my question is, if those other two businesses were to choose to increase their business and make it primarily massage, would that be permitted, or when they receive their special use permits, were they conditioned that they would only have so much square footage or so many massage a component to their business? That would be my first question.
Mr. Chairman, some of these establishments may or may not have a special use permit. Some may have been established prior to the requirement. Any expansion of the use in its current nature would probably constitute a major expansion, and therefore would possibly come before this board. It all depends. I don't have the background information on which ones have special use permits and which ones don't, but any major expansion would have to come before the board.
Okay, and I guess my next question would be, because we've seen this before with special use permits, my question would be, if this operator, Massage NV, which everybody seems to agree is a premium business operator, if the special use permit runs with the land, let's assume they sell to Happy Endings Massage. We're left with basically what we didn't want to achieve. So how do we get around that? I mean, is that
You do not.
obviously, I would think they could sell to whoever they want if the special use permit were in place. And is the city then protected? And then my last question would be, if the owner of the park doesn't want you there, I'm not sure how that would work out. It's not something we get any to decide, but I'm curious as to why you'd want to go into a shopping center where the owner has submitted a letter into our backup saying we don't want you there. Can anyone answer any of those questions?
The issue of the SUP running with the land is correct. They can sell it to any other operator.
All right, I can answer the last one and a little bit of the first one. We don't intend to sell it to Happy Endings Massage or to $5 foot long massage or any other in between. We intend to run a Massage Envy. That's why we're buying it, and that's why we're putting in that area. And we like the area. We think that area is underserved. We understand the issues with Boca Park, but I think Boca Park's going to come around and understand that we are an incredible tenant, although they are not really truly our landlords. Mr. Krikorian's company is the one who owns this plot. They can really control our signage, how big the signage is, and so forth. I think they're going to like us. I think the whole area is going to like us as a client, and I think it's an underserved area, and it's a need for that community, and that's why we're here requesting this.
Chairman. Mr. Rankin, first of all, I want to say I agree with my colleague that you have a great establishment, but is it in the letter that Mr. Grinstaff from Planning wrote, it says here that Boca Park gave exclusive rights to Euphoria to be the only massage in the original purchase agreement, that they would be the only people that would be allowed to use the area for a massage part, to have massage. So would that be violating an agreement that the city made with the owner of the entire shopping center? Because that's what this letter says.
Well,
this letter?
The 555 does not own this parcel. The 555 has sold this parcel to another individual or another group and cannot control what occurs on someone else's parcel. The agreement with the city is contained in the Boca Park Marketplace Development Plan and Development Standards that was entered with the city. In the review they do have is in regards to aesthetic reviews for the shopping center itself. I'm not sure what agreements were in the sale document. But the city, if there was going to be a change to the facade or the elevations, they would be looking for a letter from that, much like a CC&R from a homeowners association regarding changes to your home if you entered into that, and there was a controlling board, much like Summerlin does. We'd be looking for a letter for an aesthetic review, either recommending that it meets the qualifications or doesn't, and then forwarding it on to the city for the review here.
Sure.
In regard to the uses, though, the Boca Park Marketplace indicates that the uses are per Title 19. And as I mentioned at the beginning, this is a permitted use upon approval with a special use permit in Title 19.
And if I may, Mr. Grindstaff is not on city staff. He's a private representative.
Okay, thank you very much.
And Mr. Chairman, and just for the record, if there was such an agreement to be an exclusive, or that they would have an exclusive right to be the only massage establishment, that's an agreement that's a private agreement that the city wouldn't enforce, nor would we get involved with.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Please.
This is one of those, we've approved Massage Envy in other locations. It's at least everything we've seen about their operation, it's been appropriate. It's well received by the community. I wish the owner of this parcel would have dealt with the people that own the operating and easement agreement, because we wouldn't be hearing these stories here. But to Mr. Rankin's comments, I do know this property well. I do know the title history, and there are some agreements that could reflect restrictions, but they're not our enforcement. I think that's really as the city attorney said, a legal matter between the owner of the development and their rights with you. It's always unfortunate that we get the he said, she said here, when, quite honestly, we've got a great operating business in Euphoria and what they've done, and I know the business that client you represent. So it's a tough decision. I mean, I don't think it's inappropriate for the area, but I do know we have several other approvals in that area, and if the use permit that Fabulous Freddy's has, if the car wash business went south, God knows what we could have there. If your business goes south, God knows what would replace yours. But those land use, those SUPs or special use permits, do run with the land. So there's tough decisions, and hopefully we can find the right answer.
Chairman Trump, if I may,
please go
I
ahead.
may make a suggestion.
Sure. Please.
It's a special use permit, so I understand our hands are a little bit tied, but can't we put a 12-month review? I mean, I'm sympathetic to Commissioner Evans' fear, which is that you have this less wholesome establishment purchase it from you, and all of a sudden we're in a mess, and we never intended that to be. What if we put a 12-month review, have you come back, and so we can see in 12 months, is it a less wholesome establishment, or is it Massage Envy and everything looks great?
Commissioner Ellsworth, I absolutely agree with you, and we will agree to that condition.
Okay, then I think a motion is probably in order.
If I may, I'd like to make a motion at the time for approval, subject to the conditions outlined by staff and two additional ones, and that is we drop the 10 p.m. so that it still has to close at the normal time. And we also send on a condition of a 12-month review to come back and review and make sure everything is running appropriately.
Absolutely agree with those.
And that would be for item number 14.
Thank you.
Motion's been made.
Just for language, that would be to delete condition number 3 and add that there shall be a review in 1 year at a public hearing of the Planning Commission.
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question for Mr. Scott. Let's say after 12 months we come back and it is not what we thought it was. How quickly would we be able to get them to cease and desist with business.
In order to revoke a special use permit, it's going to require that they do something that's not up to city code. Either they have had some calls for service, or there's been some alleged, prostitution allegations, or whatever it may be. It would have to come back before city council. We'd have to go through a full-blown hearing, a just cause hearing, in order to revoke their special use permit.
And they would stay operating while that's all happening.
Normally what we do is we have them cease operations until that's occurred, because normally the call for service, if they get to such a point where we're revoking their special use permit, they're pretty bad. So if it gets to that point, we'll ask them, and they normally will comply with shutting the business down until such time as we're able to put it on the council agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, motion has been made. Please cast your votes. Opposed? Motion carries with one no.
And that goes forward to the City Council on March 18th.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we now move to item number 15 with companion items 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Item number 15 is modification 30-617. The applicant owner is the International Church of Las Vegas, Inc. It's a major modification to the Lone Mountain West plan to amend land use designation from L, low-density residential, and P, park, school, recreation, open space, to PF, public facilities, located approximately 660 feet west of the southwest corner of Cliff Shadows Parkway and the 215 Beltway. Item number 16 is zoning 31062 from U, undeveloped, PCD, Planned Community Development, general plan designation to PD, Planned Development. Item number 17 is variance 30-620 to allow an 85-foot tall building where 2 stories or 35 feet is the maximum permitted, and to allow a site disturbance of 3.78 acres where 3.56 is the maximum permitted. Item number 18 is variance 394 to allow for 175 parking spaces where 375 are required. Item number 19 is the vacation 30-622 is to vacate U.S. government patent easements generally located approximately 63 feet southwest of the intersection of Cliff Shadows Parkway and Novat Street. And item number 20 is site development review 30-614 is for a proposed 5-story, 89,550 square foot church house of worship with waivers of the Lone Mountain West wall and landscape standards. Staff report, please.
Staff would like to add a note that the proper site area is located west of the 215 and not east, as currently indicated in items 15, 17, and 18 within the header itself. The notification map was included of the site specific on the public hearing, and also the parcels number were correct. In regards to the major modification, staff finds this compatible with the surrounding land use designation and is recommending approval. In regards to the rezoning, this will remove the holding zoning of U undeveloped and bring it into conformance and add it to the Lone Mountain West Master Plan, and staff recommends approval of that. In regards to the vacation of the U.S. government patent easements, they are no longer needed in their current configuration, and staff is recommending approval. In regards to the variance, pursuant to the Hillside Development Standard and Guidelines, the adopted criteria for the development of properties within the hillside area shall apply to any development with natural slopes of 15% or greater. The proposed project exceeds the allowable site disturbance. In addition, the height of the proposed development exceeds the maximum height permitted and the required parking within the Lone Mountain West Master Plan area. Staff finds that these are self-imposed hardship and recommends denial. In regards to the proposed site development plan review, fails to comply with the Hillside Ordinance, Title 19, and the Lone Mountain West Development Standards, and staff is evident by the waivers and variances of the request, and staff cannot support these and recommends denial. Please note we have received additional comments after printing.
Thank you.
And we do have one condition, if approved, on vacation, VAC 30622, condition number 4 to be added to read as follows. If the order of relinquishment of interest is not recorded within 1 year after the approval of the City of Las Vegas, or an extension of time is not granted by the planning director, then approval will terminate and a new petition must be submitted.
Thanks for the staff report. Before I open the public hearing and give the applicant and the individuals in attendance the opportunity to speak, I'd like to just make a few comments. We'll give as much time as necessary for the applicant to make their full-blown presentation. and then we'll open up for public comment, both pro and con. But I would caution everyone to listen what has been said and to please avoid the temptation just to repeat comments. If you have something new to add, please come forward and speak your piece. We'll give you a couple of minutes to speak after we give the original applicants a considerable amount of time to make their presentation. It may be beneficial if you have not to select someone to give a primary response. If you do that, and might be inclined to give that individual that's going to be the primary spokesperson additional time beyond the 2 minutes. Those that are here in attendance to wish to speak against this proposal, I would like you to, we'll have one speaking for, one speak against, go back and forth. I would advise the people that are speaking in opposition to also follow the same rules, where if something has already been said about a particular element of the proposal, we understand. You could say you're in support of what's previously been said, but I would like to add whatever you'd like to add, just to kind of keep it moving. And we've got many people here in attendance, and we could be here for many hours on this item, but I think that the issues in dispute or under discussion are fairly clear. And so with that having been said, I'd like to now declare the public hearing open, invite the applicant to present his case. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. My name is Ron Portero, 7958 Lookout Rock Circle, Las Vegas, Nevada. And with me tonight is my friend and colleague, Mr. Paul Kennedy. And Paul, you can...
Paul Kennedy at 1242 Jesse Road, Henderson.
Before I begin our presentation, I really would like to acknowledge the work of staff, particularly Flynn Fagg, Steve Gepicke, Peter Lowenstein, Robin Yoakum, Rebecca Drury, and Doug Rankin. Oftentimes, you don't hear about those folks. So my opportunity is to say, hey, good job, thank you very much. Let me give you, if I may, a little background as to the process of what brought us here tonight. Our application for this particular site development review and the variances and zoning and the modifications, the application went in September of 2008. Our first neighborhood meeting was held the week of November 16th of 2008. And then our first planning commission was before you on November 22nd of 2008. At the time of our last planning commission, several things happened. And so I want to take a moment and kind of review that. We shared a lot of information about our project. There were different types of agreements, and as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 types of things that we're asking for, applications before you. If you were hearing it for the first time, and I think a number of you were, it probably was fairly overwhelming. And we took note of that in taking a step back. Concerns and issues were raised at the November 22nd meeting as follows. Some things were not clear, particularly the shared parking agreement that we believed we were going to get in place, but at that time, council had not approved it. And so it made sense when I listened to the commission suggest, how can we approve something when we don't know if we are even parked for it? And so that was an item that we needed to clarify. The elevations that we showed you on that particular day, there was some confusion as to the height of the tower and the building in relationship to the floor of the slope and of the ground. And so we have taken pains to relabel those, and we've brought them back to bring clarity for that as well. The BLM approval of our project for the shared parking across the street, there was no documentation. I think the city attorney made mention of that. Well, we've gone back and we've taken care of that as well. So, in essence, I think we required, or the commission required, additional time for consideration, review, and understanding, and we understood that. And the wisdom of the commission at the time was basically said, we're going to hold this in abeyance, and we're going to do a couple things. Number one, we're going to allow more input from the residents, and we're going to expand the notice area, and you want to hear from the residents, and that has occurred, and we'll talk about that. And secondly, to bring clarity to where perhaps clarity was lacking in the past. And so that's part of what we're going to do. Since that time, we've been working diligently with staff, and we're going to bring, I hope, a cohesive, clear plan of how we're going to get our project on, and we would like your questions and concerns as we do that. Now, let me also do one thing up front, if I may. We take note, and I'm sure the Commission has taken note of the fact that we're a fairly large community of believers at International Church of Las Vegas. The level of support you've seen in the backup shows some significant 702 some letters of support and postcards and a handful of protests. We took note of the fact that you didn't want the whole church showing up at the planning meeting tonight, and you didn't want them showing up at the neighborhood meeting on the 26th. We therefore asked our church members who are also residents of that area if they would be the ones coming and not church members who are outside the immediate zip code of where the parcel is located and the surrounding zip codes. And so we accomplished that. In fact, at the 26th meeting, we had 41 people were signed in. 36 were from zip code 89129. I think there were 2 commissioners, 1 councilman, and maybe 4 staff. Now, there were some people who came a little bit late and didn't get signed in. I think all in all there were probably over 50 people in attendance. But again, I'm emphasizing the point that the people at the neighborhood meeting and the people who are here tonight are people who might represent the church, but they're also neighbors. And we think that we don't want to draw any distinction between whether you're a church person or a non-church person. We'd like to have this discussion in terms of, are you a neighbor? This is your neighborhood. So what we did was we analyzed the 702 notices of approval or postcards and letters. And out of that, 105 of those came from 89129. 75 came from the adjacent zip code. And if you can bring this up, I can show that to you. This is the subject zip code right here. And then the surrounding zip codes are here, here, and there. And so I labeled them 89128, there were 75, 89134, there were 6, and 89149, there were 34, for a total of 220. And so those are, I think, the relevant numbers, I think, for the Commission in terms of what the neighborhood thinks of our project. A number of issues were presented at the last Planning Commission meeting that we've responded to. Number 1, we had a parking issue because we were asking for a variance for parking related to the if I could get the site plan up there, back up there. Our primary site and parcel is located right here. We were asking for a variance to allow for additional parking across this street here called Desert Hope, and that was part of one of our variance requests. At the time of that meeting, we did not have the approval of the City Council as to whether or not that shared parking agreement would actually come into play. Well, I can say right now that, in fact, we do. And the shared parking agreement, I have a copy. I don't have a signed copy because I think that's yet to come to the clerk. But it's been approved, and we have that copy and the approval from the City Council on February 4th. So that has been done. And I would also say that they added a clause, the City Attorney's Office added a clause in that February 4th agreement that did the following. It extended the opportunity for the 2032 timeline for the shared parking agreement to go beyond that, and they also included language in there that the city would apply for a patent to that parcel and also the parcel to the north, right there, as Paul points it, also a BLM parcel, so that when the BLM lease expires, it can be renewed, or the church has an option to purchase that property or continue the lease. So we've covered the problem with potential termination of the lease in that time frame. So that's in there. So we have the City Council approval and the minutes from the last City Council meeting, I understand, will be available 10 days to 2 weeks from February 4th. One of the next issues was the safety of pedestrians crossing over from that parking lot, which Paul will show you there, to our site, which would be from this parking lot to the church site here. We've had a series of meetings with all of the commissioners, and we've also had a meeting with Councilman Steinman, and we have determined that we can mitigate the safety issue, we think, in a way that satisfies the commission and the council by doing several things. Number one, we have noted on the site plan here a pedestrian crosswalk. And Paul, you might want to explain. There's one there which is going to be naturally up by the light, and then there's a second one that's going to be the primary crosswalk that's going to service that parking lot across the street to the church. And Paul, you might talk about how we're going to build that, or what's some of the features.
Yeah, this secondary, or actually this will probably be the primary sidewalk right here, guys. What we want to do is do that in paved stone. So it enhances the crossing right there. It's also a safety issue because, as you all have said, and you know that people aren't going to walk down to the north sidewalk and cross over and come all the way back up.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Sir, you'll need to point onto on that so we can see it.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Okay. Go ahead. I'll stretch it over there. Yeah, well, all right. But anyway, the sidewalk would be done with...
The center microphone should be operational, so you don't have to twist your neck.
All right. Is it good?
No. I don't know why.
Is it good?
No, we can hear you. Just speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The sidewalk that we propose to put in here is a safety issue. That's to take people from our east parking lot here across to the main parcel. Instead of walking clear down and crossing over, there'd be an access right here that would come across through the landscape, through the island. It'd be engineered in there and done out of paved stone, so it blends in very nicely. In addition, we would have flashers that would be at the north and the south end of the road to notify anybody that the church is going to be in service. And they would be on a timer, so that during service and after service they would go off automatically to accommodate for when we are in service. At the crosswalk itself there would be lighting on both sides with low-level lighting to enhance the crosswalk area for foot traffic, so as not to cause too much light, bring too much light to the area, so that we can blend in better. But anyway, that is our goal, is to bring people out of the parking lot safely across, to get them to the front doors instead of going all the way to the end and then having to walk all the way back up. And you and I both know that people aren't going to do that. They're going to cross over the road, and we're trying to make preparation now for their safety.
And that was a suggestion that was made by Councilman Steinman in our visit with him, and we agree with that. I would also add other mitigation issues that we can take upon ourselves, and that would be during our heavy service times, which are Sunday morning, Sunday evening, and Wednesday evening, and then for special events, we'll have crossing guards. We'll have people physically standing out there, and I don't know if they'll get their safety patrol vest or whatever, but we do have currently at our facility now, when you come in on our heavy traffic days, there are people directing you to come here and go there, park here, and helping people get parked. We would also encourage that people to, as they walk across here, we're going to have our safety crosswalk people there. Also, we are intending to have shuttle service that would take people from this east parking lot around here and then deliver them to the front door of the church. So that's another mitigating factor. Lastly, we've talked about it, but I won't say we're committed to doing it, possibly offering valet service. And one of the problems associated with that is too many ministries in the church would be fighting over the money that would be donated to the valet. So we're not sure about that one yet, but we're gonna work on that. And I can also say that we have a policy of abstinence in our parking lots, if that would be of any...
I was worried about that. That was going to be my first question.
Is that all right, Pastor Paul? Okay. It just seemed like it fit. You'll have to excuse me. So that is our issue with the safety of the people crossing over. Thirdly, we had an issue, and it's one of the issues that is going to be discussed, I think, at a little bit more length, would be the placement of the building against or into the hillside. Now, there were concerns regarding the positioning of the building into the mountain and blasting. Paul has done his research. We have our civil engineers and reports. And Paul, you might want to comment on the concern that was raised at the last Planning Commission by potential blasting.
The last Planning Commission, there was notes, and people spoke about blasting and dust and noise. And I wasn't speaking at that time, but as a general contractor, and I know the site, and I know the soils reports that's been done, the excavation of the soil that needs to be moved is going to be obtained by D9. There will be no blasting, so as to not shake the area and shake all the homes around there. We're excavating 14 feet of material, so it's not the entire mountainside. And that material will be moved out into the parking lot area. We don't expect to have too much haul off from this site. So those are the things that I can tell you that I know from the soils report and from the engineers of what it's going to take to move the material on this site. Basically, that's all I can say.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. The issue, and the word was used in the last Planning Commission meeting, was cutting into the mountain. Well, the reality of the ordinance, and I've looked at that thing a half a dozen times, if not more. I have some exhibits, and I'll ask if the clerk would want to pass those along. And the first two exhibits are basically addendums and figures at the end of the ordinance. And if you look at those, if you look at these exhibits, this is part of the ordinance. These exhibits tell you what to do and what not to do. And if you look at the first exhibit, figure 2, it will tell you, set into the hillside and backfilled. That requires, if you, Paul?
That requires cut.
That requires a cut. It's something that is encouraged by the ordinance. Now, of course, we're not cutting 100 feet. That's not the intent. We're cutting into the subterranean for our lower level. But we want to be real clear that we're doing what the ordinance is telling us to do relative to excavation. And there's even a definition in the ordinance about cutting and excavation. The second page, again, it looks very similar to the first page, but it is in actuality a different figure, and it talks about the very same thing. Do this on the left side here, don't do that. And so we want to make it clear that we've been researching, we've been trying to do our homework to determine exactly what the guidelines allow or don't allow and what they encourage or don't encourage, and we think we've come a long way in bringing that understanding to everyone. We are nestling into the mountain. That's a good word. And so we are just basically doing what the ordinance asks us to do. Lastly, one of the issues that came before the Planning Commission in November was the building structure. Well, we've taken care of the size of the structure in terms of the square footage of our structure meets code relative to the parking. Now, that assumes that the variance is granted with the property. Paul, if you could stick back the site plan. Assuming that the variance is granted for the use of this parcel here, we have the disposition and development agreement in place, signed by the city January of 2008, approved by the council. That's in place. The shared parking agreement is now in place. We believe we now have the parking necessary to support the size of our structure without significant impact. And the traffic folks have looked at this. They understand the circulation elements, the ins and outs, and this meets with the approval basically for our preliminary traffic studies as well. So we wanted to, again, allow you to understand that we've got that dialed in, and we think we're handling that. There is also variance for, as you probably well know, the height of the building and size of the building as it goes vertically. We have some things we'd like to share with you. We're asking for a variance, if you assume for a second that this structure is part of a structure designed to be applied in the hillside ordinance. If you look at the staff report discusses the fact that a variance is being denied because it's a self-imposed hardship for us to build what we're building. And while I understand them saying that, I'm going to respectfully make a case for the fact that there is a hardship. And it comes in line with the fact that we started this process in December of '03. And if I can have the clerk, let me keep a couple of those. I think I've got enough for you. I hope that's legible. Our responsibility is to show the Commission why we think that a variance is in order. Number one, we think a variance is in order because we've done the things that the ordinance asks to build a structure into the hillside that reflects the contours of the hillside, the topography of the hillside, and those have all been done and accomplished through our architecture and design. But what I'm going to talk to you for just a few moments about is what we believe is a hardship that we endured through no making of our own, and it starts with a December '03 acquisition date and zoning approval and major modification approval. And then in August of '04, and Pastor Paul Goulet was with me as we began discussions with the councilman regarding the ancillary parcels that would be required to be able to build the structure and have ample parking. At that time, that was August of '04, we fast forward to, that would be September, October, November, December, January '05, and I have staff, Robin Yoakum of city staff will confirm these numbers. January '05, the city applied for the BLM lease, and normally you can see here that there's a usual BLM process of 6 to 8 months. So with that in mind, we began designing, we began raising funds, and we began doing all the things churches do to prepare for what's coming. And including in that preparation was heights of towers and sizes of buildings. And that process, which usually takes 6 to 8 months, ended up taking an additional, if you come down to the month 49, which started in month 47, month 22, the usual BLM process should have been done. It didn't get done. Fast forward month 23 and on forward to month 42. May of '07 is when the BLM lease was finalized and the city actually approved it. Okay, so we had a 19-month unanticipated delay, not caused by us, no self-imposed hardship, but I can tell you people were giving money, they saw the plans, they were very much in favor of what we were doing and gave money to a project that we anticipated would not be a problem relative to the size of the building, height of the tower, and the whole 9 yards. Actually, as I told Pastor Paul, we have over 4 million reasons, okay, to ask for the variance, because over $4 million has been pledged to this particular design. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have gone into this design for our architects and engineers based upon what we thought would be an approved process, an approved design. I can also say, I'm not going to speak for former Councilman Brown. He was aware of everything we were doing from day one, actually month 9, when we sat with him. We showed him what we wanted to do, and he basically said, it's fine with me, and he has been using that project in every town hall meeting he's had since then, and letting people know that this was something he liked. Okay, he didn't approve it because it wasn't official action, but he was in favor of where we were going. Fast forward to month 42, the actual BLM process is complete. Okay, and 3 months later, the Hillside Ordinance is passed. During that course of time, the City of Las Vegas Development and Disposition Agreement process comes along, and that takes 8 months to get to a point where the city and the church agreed how we're going to use those lands across the street and to the north. Now, if we go to month 50, January 08, a little over a year ago, the DDA was approved by the council. And once we had that approval, we knew we could go ahead and finish our engineering and design for what we were doing, and we did that. And it took 7 months. Of course, a lot of discussion with planning staff and whatnot before our official application went in September of 08. November 22nd was our Planning Commission meeting here, and we're here today. What? Yes.
With all due respect, I think the picture is worth 10,000 words.
Okay. Okay.
Got your point on the delays.
Yeah.
BLM.
Yeah. Well, there's people maybe not seeing it. Oh. I'm not sure if they're seeing it back there. They probably are. But what I'd like to make mention of, if I can, Mr. Chairman, is that the red line indicates 19 months of unanticipated delay.
Got the point.
Yeah. If you then go take the green at month 29 is where we should have been before you with our SDR. And that is approximately 16 months before the passage of the Hillside Ordinance. Therefore, I conclude my argument that I think we had a hardship that was not self-imposed, bureaucratic, agency-related timelines, delays in BLM and CLV processing.
Mr. Pachero?
Yes.
I have one question.
Sure.
And I didn't want to interrupt your
I appreciate
presentation
that.
because
Mhm.
you've been very accommodating in giving
Thank
us
you.
information. But when you say that you didn't create this hardship, is there any time during this timeline that you've given us that the two-story limitation within the Lone Mountain West plan changed?
No, not that I'm aware of. I don't think it did.
So that two-story limitation has always been there, no matter whether there was 19 months in the process or not.
I suppose you might make that argument, and I'd have to look at the language of it because I don't have it in front of me, so I'm not going to respond yay or nay. But I will say that we, through step by step, month after month, year after year, we were in pretty close discussions with the councilman and about what we were doing, how large, how tall, and we felt fairly comfortable moving forward. And again, I'm not going to put words in his mouth. He was not approving anything because it was not an official action, but we felt very comfortable in doing what we were doing.
Okay, thank you.
And I have some other comments that I'll probably wait after maybe you get some public participation. But for these reasons, and I don't know, Paul, if there's anything you'd like to add, we would ask for approval of the variances. I think we've got the other approvals. And so I'll conclude my presentation by just saying.
At the conclusion of the public hearing, I'll give you, maybe 3 minutes to sum up the things that have not been brought out that you feel are germane to the issue.
Okay, thank you.
Now, the public hearing is open, so if anybody in attendance wishes to speak, please come forward and let us know what your thoughts are on this matter. Give your name for your record. Anyone else that's going to plan on speaking, please come down too so we can eliminate the downtime while people come and go from the mic. And then people that are going to want to speak in opposition could line up at the other microphone.
Mr. Chairman, can I be so bold for the sake of time? Can we limit each
Yes.
to just 1 to 2 minutes?
If a person is the, as a primary speaker, we could probably give them 4 minutes. You've got the capability to monitor 4 minutes for the first one, and then after that, we'll go like 2 minutes for the subsequent ones if you're the primary speaker and either support or opposition on what hat you're wearing tonight.
Can I get through my list?
The supporters, is this a supporter or opponent? I have no idea.
I'm an opponent.
Okay, same story. Take 4 minutes.
There's two mics. Please feel free to come up and occupy both
over
of them.
here.
Whoever's going to speak next at the next mic.
Please.
Can I start? Allison
Absolutely.
Rudnick, 10744 Chickasaw Bend, 89129. I purchased my house only 3 years ago. I would submit to you that the neighborhood of 89129, probably 80% of it is less than 5 years old, which means that probably 80% of the residents purchased those homes from builders who actually showed us plans, development plans. We bought our house because of where it was located, because it was low density, because of the traffic restrictions, because we wanted to be in an area where there was a low density population. Okay, that's that's first. As a result of the economy, everything that's going on, the 89129 area code has dropped in value at least 30%. I called my mortgage company just a week ago to try and remortgage, get a double mortgage on the house. Whatever, the bottom line is that most of Las Vegas has only gone down 25%, and our zip code, 89129, has dropped 30%.
Ma'am, do you think this church is going to reduce your property value?
Yes,
Is that
I
what
do.
You're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it will reduce my property value greatly. The area that they're talking about putting the parking on Cliff Shadows, now, understandably, I don't have millions of dollars to have a lawyer and architects draw up all my plans, but as an experienced traveler of Cliff Shadows, I can tell you right now that if you start to have people crossing over Cliff Shadows where they're talking about putting the crossing guard, the backup onto Cheyenne will be extremely, extremely harsh on that community there. It crosses over the 215, and they would have to put a stop walk basically from the entrance to the 215 and the whole side of Cheyenne, which is residential, and then first goes into a little bit of what you call public land, would be basically stopgap because of the width of those streets there. They're just not wide enough for people to actually, okay, a crossing guard, stop. That wasn't what that area was meant for. As to what they're saying that these imposed hardships were imposed on them, well, shame on you for collecting $4 million without knowing the zoning regulations and knowing that these were going to go through. These may be opposed. The bottom line is that it is zoned for 2 stories, and people who have built and bought and invested in that area bought and invested and built because of that. Okay, now the area, the 89129 area, most of it was built within the last 5 years. You have to keep that in mind, that these aren't people who just bought there because, oh, it was pretty. People looked at the development plans from their builders and bought based on what their builders and what the county had approved for that area. And that, to me, is a huge hardship. So the 85-foot tower that they're proposing that now allow, where we only allow 2 feet stories, would totally change the structure of and the beauty of that mountain view that people bought because of. Coming into the neighborhood, Cliff Shadows goes I'm sorry, my time is up. Cliff Shadows goes into that neighborhood, and that would, as aesthetically, I believe, lower our values quite a bit.
Thank you. Sir?
Hello, my name is Frank Holland, and currently I own 2 homes in the 8912 area code. I'm right now a resident in 7940 Lookout Rock Circle, 89129, and I am in favor of this project. I have seen the renditions that they showed at the community meeting. They've been done with excellence, and I believe that it's going to be an aesthetic value to the neighborhood, as well as, if I can say this, I'm also a business owner. And as a business owner, I've seen so many projects put on hold and put on delay. And this is a project that I would have to imagine is going to be $12 to $20 million project. It's going to put hundreds of people to work. As for me, as being a business owner and concerned about this valley, I would just have to say, encourage you to please vote yes on this, because it's going to do something that's going to help, just help this community and help our city. Furthermore, I really believe that this is a time that, with our financial woes in this city, to put that many people to work is going to be an asset. But also the beauty of it and the excellence that it's been done is really going to be something that I think is going to be a good thing to look at, even as we're driving by the 215. I see a project that's just to the north of that that's already pre-existing. These buildings, this tower just looks amazing compared to the one that's existing. So I don't want to name anything, but it's the one that's just north of that project. So I would just highly encourage you to please vote yes and support us in this. And I am a owner of 2 homes in this area, and I believe that this is going to be an added value to our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sir?
Hi, my name is Johnny Morales. I'm a resident at 10461 Pre-Cliffs Court, just about a mile away, and I am in total support of this project, and I do believe it's going to add something in that area of our community there in services, and I do think it'll add to the value of the property, the looks, and everything. So I just would really hope that you would vote yes on this. This is something that I think this area of the city is in desperate need of. The services that will be provided, the street, everything, there's enough room for people to cross. Just with the new horse park there, people are already coming, but I believe that this is going to provide a service that the community needs. Just the things that, especially in this time, in this economy, that when things are going bad, this will provide a place for people to actually go and pray and get peace from God and peace in their life during this time. So I would just really encourage you to say yes and vote yes on this, and I think it's going to add value to our city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Ma'am? I appreciate the applause, and the speakers do an excellent job of articulating their position, but we don't need the applause each and every time. You're going to have sore hands by the time it's all over, and it's going to delay the meeting another 20 minutes while we listen to applause. So if you please can train yourselves. Ma'am?
My name is Sylvia Rieselman, and I also live in the 8912 area, and I am here in support of the building. I believe that, of course, aesthetics is in the eyes of the beholder, but I believe that just the way that the building is, the different multi-level, is juxtaposition to actually enhance the ridgeline. It actually brings attention to the ridgeline. It's one of the smaller mountains in the area, and you almost can miss it because all the other mountains are larger behind it and around it. And I believe it's going to bring some attention to it. I also go to other cities, and when you go look at the architecture of other cities, one of the things that you notice in other cities is churches. Churches bring community, and it's also pieces of art that people look at when they go to a city. It's a speaking point when you go to other countries. This church looked really great. It was built. I think this is going to be one of the more interesting buildings in the area. I know that some of the businesses in the area are struggling, of course, with the economy. That is what is going on. There's a lot of businesses struggling. But I believe that all the people that this will attract is going to help the businesses in that area. And I also believe it's going to bring more of a community sort of environment to the place. So I am very much for this project.
Thank you.
My name is Amy Brewster, and I live at 4024 Bennett Mountain Street, and I've only ever seen you on TV, so this is pretty exciting for me. I'm talking in opposition of the project today. I don't have a pulpit on Sunday to be able to speak to a bunch of people, so I thought, well, how can I get my community informed about what's going on with this building? So I put up some little handmade signs, and I watched, unfortunately, some people take them down, and I know the church probably doesn't condone this behavior, but church signs were put up in place of it, and I thought, okay, well, I'll try again. I'll go to Kinko's one more time and put up a few more. And in one afternoon, I received 16 pages of emails in opposition to this project from my neighbors, and I don't know any of the people that are in these emails. I can give them to you if you like to, and I asked them to also email some of the folks that are city people too. And most people did not understand the scope of this building. I'm very much in favor of a church going in this area. I think that churches are great neighbors, especially if they promise the abstinence policy. Then I think it's wonderful to have a church. But Mr. Petrero also spoke about the great delay that he had in getting the BLM to approve the extra parking spaces. And my understanding is that if he would not have had this delay if they had proposed more than 175 parking spaces to begin with. So they had proposed this huge, massive building, this massive plan, and 85 feet is exceeding by at least 50 feet anything that we should have here. They can revise their dreams, make them smaller. There's lots of parcels of land all over Las Vegas where this can be built, but we can never get our mountain back. And I really think that's the thing, is that the people in this area are not in favor of it. Many of them don't know the scope of what's going on here. So thank you very much. And I do have copies of this.
Please just give them with the city clerk, and she'll keep them in the permanent record. Next.
Hi, my name is Louise Koff, and I just wanted to just say briefly that I'm speaking in support of this Prayer Mountain. I'm actually a little bit surprised that there's any opposition to it, because it isn't. I mean, I can understand that the buildings aren't supposed to be more than 2 stories. I mean, I'm not familiar with all the zoning and all of that, but it is a prayer tower, and I think it would be a real tragedy to try to have a prayer tower that was 2 stories or less. I mean, we wouldn't have major cathedrals. We wouldn't have the beautiful Mormon temple we have on the side of the mountain. I can't believe that didn't need a zone or variance or whatever. I mean, I just think that it's silly to have a church, a prayer tower that would be 2 stories or less. There would be no point. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Pamela Tenbruca. I'm at 10773 Porter Mountain Court. When I bought that property, I went back several times to look at it. It was a pre-existing home, and what sold me was going up in the upper balcony and looking out, and that was it. It didn't matter anything else about the house, and I think a lot of people feel that way when they buy where we are, and that's why we're so far out there. This church will be in direct view of my house and many other people's house, and what I'm most opposed to is just the 85-foot tower. And as far as the church being good neighbor, I agree with that, and I was really disappointed that the lady that said she put up flyers, I didn't know who she was, but I saw the flyers, and I went back to read them, and they were gone, and things kept going up signs, and they kept coming down. So that was unfortunate, and they weren't really opinions. They were more, here's the meeting, this is the date. So that was really disappointing, too. But I'm opposed mostly to the tower, as most people are. I welcome the church. But if that modification was made, and I think there's a lot of wonderful churches that are held in probably barns and all kinds of places. I don't know that they all need a giant tower to have a nice service. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Hello, my name is Lauren Stiles. I live at 8235 Garnet Canyon. I've lived there since 1998, and I'm active in real estate investing. I know the zip code very well. I know, don't know where these numbers are coming from, but 80% of the houses in 89129 weren't built in the last 5 years. This community is in desperate need of a church in that area of this type. I'm in full support of the church. I've seen the renderings and the drawings of it. And in my opinion, if you look at the mountains behind this small hill are much, much larger. And the tower only goes approximately 1/3 of the way up of this smaller hill. And the only way that you could not see the mountains behind that is if you were to walk straight up to the building after it's built and stand in front of it to where it would block your view. From anywhere from a distance from the 215, on the other side of the 215, you can clearly see the mountains over the top of this hill that's there. So I'm definitely in support of it, and I have my own reasons. I have to drive about 6 miles right now to take my kids to church, and if I'm late, my pastor gives me a dirty look. So this is making it a lot easier for me to get to church. And I'd also like to add what the other people have added in this economy. We're really trying to do everything that we can in this economy to be positive and to do as much as we can. And I would just encourage you to say yes on this project. I think there'll be great neighbors for us all to have, and I'd love to be able to go to church there. Thank you.
Good. When you arrive late, don't sit in the front row. That's voice of experience. Sir?
Chairman, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Mark Bloom, 10175 West Tropical Parkway, 89149. Oh, 149, that's not one of those zips that was included that the applicant talked about. No, I don't live right next door to the proposal. And one reason I'm here is because you don't have to live right in the same neighborhood to be affected. I pass this intersection at Cheyenne and 215 on a daily basis. One thing that attracted me to this area, and I'm sure it attracted most everyone here, are the stunning vistas, the beauty, the ruralness, the openness, the ability to see the mountains, whether you're looking at Mount Charleston or La Madre or smaller hills. There is I'm not sure who's operating the computer, but there is a nice elevation that's got a blue sky in it. Would it be possible to bring that up? So I am absolutely opposed to this. I think it's the one right before that or right after that. I'm absolutely opposed to this as it stands, primarily for some of the reasons that this is the one right here. Primarily some of the reasons that you've heard, and also that I don't quite understand why a house of worship, no matter who your higher authority is, why you would think that cutting into nature, cutting into the side of a mountain, putting something right up to the side of a mountain that's going to be permanent is a good thing. Can't be a good thing. I'd like to close with looking at this picture, and if that's not worth 1,000 words, why in the world would anybody be in favor of disturbing something like that with an artificial structure? Why can't we make it a little bit smaller, make it conform to the 35-foot requirement, and kind of tone it down a little bit, people, so that when you drive by, your eye is not attracted to the building, but rather the vistas and the mountains. Let's face it, there's a lot of places in this town you can go to see tall buildings. We like being in the Northwest for the opposite reason. We don't want tall buildings, and I would appreciate it if they could just maybe tone it down a little. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Hello, my name is Denise Moore. I do live in 89129, and I am for this project. I don't think anybody who is spiritually connected can obviously say that the building is such a beautiful building being built against the mountain. The mountains are tall enough where you can see the beauty, enjoy the beauty, and the architecture is absolutely fantastic. I am a conservationist, so I do believe in beauty when we have something of this structure that's going against the mountain. The mountains are tall enough where you can see it, and we need something this large to educate and spiritually educate and teach our children, bring our neighbors together. We don't have a church in our neighborhood, and I would highly ask you to please be in favor of building this building. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Hello, my name is Rose Heater. I'm at 7201 West Washington, and I am for this project. I've lived here for 40 years. I've driven an ambulance for 12 of those years, and now I teach in the community at Centennial High School. I'm a teacher there, Dawson Alexander, and also the Hebrew Academy School. I'm very aware of the children's need for some place like this, a safe place to go that does constitute itself against a mountain, that says that there is safety in Las Vegas. It's a huge concern of ours. The children that are at the church right now, we have several hundred of them that are impacted by this church. I'm a member, and I believe that this will make a national impact in our nationally, it will be the first of its kind. It's immaculately built. The place that it is against the mountain, there are houses that could be there, but it wouldn't be such an impact against their visual aspect that it would be a deterrent against the nature of that mountain. So I strongly oppose this building. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oppose not. I want this building really bad. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. Sir.
Good evening, Chairman. My name is Ray Moffat. I live at 4037 Laurel Flat Court, 89129, just around the corner from this location. There's been some objection to this crosswalk idea, and the indication was that it went across Alexander. That crosswalk doesn't go across Alexander. It does go across a street that doesn't even exist yet. So there shouldn't be any concern with traffic on that street. It goes into a proposed residential community that is not even there yet. So the concerns of that intersection you need to keep in mind that it's not going to affect traffic on Alexander. And then as well as the height of the structure, I think the primary reason to limit height in that area would be to obstruct views. A lot of people like myself who live there appreciate the views you have from that area. This building being right next to the mountain would not obstruct anyone's view of the city or any of the valley view. But it also helps provide the church members a view of the city from that location. So I think in the fact that there are other towers there's power lines, there's other cell towers that are that height or higher, and so I don't see this as being any obstruction to anyone's view or changing any of the appearance of the area. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am?
Hello, my name is Jeanette Williams, and I'm located at 3781 Bossa Nova Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89129. And first of all, I want to say thank you so much for meeting with us today on this matter and for having an open mind and hearing both sides. I also want to apologize to the lady and for the rest of the community for anybody who might have taken down their signs. I do believe in the First Amendment of the Constitution that says freedom of religion, speech, and press, and they have that right to oppose. And I just want to say on behalf of our church, for whoever took down those signs, please forgive us. We are sorry, and you do have that right and that opinion. I am for this project. I believe if we can have casinos that are extremely high, that actually take away from the view of our community and also pollute the air with chemicals and other things, that we should be able to have a prayer tower that can pollute the air with prayer. And I don't see anything wrong with people gathering together and praising their God in beauty. Now, if you don't want to go to church or if you don't want to do that, we're not forcing you to do anything. But we believe in the power of prayer, and we believe it does change lives. And we believe it so much that we're willing to have a prayer tower up on a mountainside for everyone to view, knowing that the heart of Las Vegas is beauty. The heart of Las Vegas is that we are a community that is going to stand together and is going to pray and fight for our nation, for our city. And we just want to let you know that, you are constantly, even in our prayers, you're being that you constantly vote on issues like this. And I just want to say thank you so much for listening, and whatever you choose, God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Hello, my name is Anthony LaBounty, 8625 Chiquita. I live in the 89128 zip code, and I'm in favor of this project. And one of the reasons I'm in favor is I heard a few years ago about a house of prayer in Kansas City called IHOP, International House of Prayer. It was started right after 9/11, and some folks there said, let's have a prayer meeting. And then after that time, it continued, and it has continued ever since, and it's a 24/7 house of prayer. And I've talked to many colleagues. I'm a music professor at UNLV in my 21st year, and I've talked to many colleagues around the country. And after we get through talking about business, I'll ask them about personal things, and sometimes it'll lead to spiritual things. And I'll ask them, do you know anything about this IHOP in Kansas City? Some of them will say no. Many of them will say yes. And I'll say, well, I just started attending a church where they're planning to build a similar prayer tower. So this is not going to just be a church, with all due respect to any of the opposition. This is going to be a tower that's dedicated to prayer, not to building up church memberships or coffers or things, all of which are good, but it's dedicated to prayer. And people, I believe, are going to come, and I tell my colleagues this, they're going to come, they're going to fly from all over the world, they're going to do things in Las Vegas, but they're also going to come to visit this place. And I think, and I predict, and I prophesy by virtue of the power that's given to me as a citizen and as a resident, that by virtue of your wisdom, it's going to be incredible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before they conclude, I just wanted to, before I forget, we're not debating the value of the church and the merits of Christianity or prayer. It's all about the land use. So I appreciate everyone's comments, but I really want to bring that to light.
Okay, we're getting towards the end of the thing, so sir, go ahead and...
And actually, I'll bring that to light because I actually live right on that corner there. Literally, the wind would be at my back at a good northern breeze, and I could throw a rock and literally bounce it right off into that lot. So it's a huge concern for me. Yes, I am a member of the church. And when I started first looking at the plans, because I've been up here before on different issues, and the reason I bought up there is because it is beautiful. You have all these vistas, you see all this. I literally will walk across the street and I'll sit up there and look down back at the valley. I mean, I can do these things. These are things that are quite accessible to me. The thing is that I'd like to apologize along with whoever took the flyers and did all that, and the church does apologize. But her concern is also with mine. I'm a homeowner right there, and I'm not going to give you a real estate hard luck story. We all have them. I put a huge amount of money into this. So for me, it is definitely a financial thing because I literally walk out my door and I see that. And I put, I'll bear it here, I put $80,000 into that thing before it fell. So I've got a huge amount of money into this. So for me, when I look at this, I look at what's across the street, the equestrian park, I thank the city. Thankfully, when they continue to do that, great sigh of relief because it was like, wow, I can finally see something coming in over here. And then I was able to see, well, the church is doing this. I'm going to go to the meetings. I want to see what they got. I want to see if this is going to actually build up my value. That's one of my other concerns. And everything that I've seen, I have liked about it. They've made a lot of changes through it. And as you look up above, the topography, the type of grain of rock that they're using, everything that they've looked at, I've liked this a lot. I've liked that with not much being built, here's something that will improve my value up there. And that makes me feel really well, especially since the other park down the road, it looks like it's also going to go in with the other equestrian park, a trail, and all this. And they've worked really hard to get that in there. So for me, it is a huge value for me. I don't even want to say how much money I've lost up there. It's unbelievable. Thank you for the time.
Your name for the record, sir?
My name's Steve Crocker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Farlow?
Thank you. Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. I spent a good afternoon trying to find this place. And Cliff Shadows Parkway runs out in the desert someplace. You can't get across. So finally I found some way across the freeway. I have no idea where I was, but I think I found the place. So, being as that, through you, Mr. Chairman, Margot, on this park and play thing that they've got going on there, what does the city intend to do with that mountain there? Do people park there? Is it open on... Eventually, so nothing's there now, but eventually there's a shared parking lot or something where people park and then they go off and play in that. The reason I say this, and Dr. Scott, I want you to listen to this a little bit. In the early 80s, I was involved in that brouhaha Faith Center down in Los Angeles, and I know that you cannot have any disturbance within, I think it's 500 yards of a church service under federal law. And if there's people playing on this mountain there, and the mountains echo, and that echoes into that church there, the church can call and close that, whoever it is, they can have the people arrested. That's the law, and I know that for fact. So this has to be taken into consideration on whatever we're going to do there. Thank you very much.
And hopefully the last speaker.
Hello, my name is Laura Harvey, and I am for this project.
I currently live in Summerlin, and I am looking to purchase a home in this area for this very purpose of this church being built. And the reason being is because I believe in what they stand for. I know that they're there to help the community. They have a heart to just reach to people and help them. And they're going to have a lot of programs for children and just a lot of things for the children that we need to invest in and to try and make a difference. And that's why I'm for it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak, please approach the microphone. Seeing none, you're coming on rebuttal, but seeing no others, one more gentleman, come on.
Good evening. Craig Hancock, 9280 West Red Coach, 89129. My wife and I have lived in this neighborhood for 12 years. We did an owner-builder, and my brother built there 18 years ago on an acre, and my parents bought this property in 1967 when I graduated from high school. 10 years ago, my wife and I could jump on a horse, ride past this property, and go another 2 hours. You know, I think we have to put this property in perspective. There's a beltway with 8 lanes going right by it. Cheyenne Avenue is 5 lanes. You know, this property, this church is a good thing about a community and development. Nobody asked me if they could put in that beltway. Nobody asked me if they could put Cheyenne in with 5 lanes. I mean, I'm like, this is a good thing that happens to an area that's developing. There's bad things that happen. Yes, I wake up in the morning and I can hear those cars, and I can hear them on that freeway up there, and I don't like it. You know, I see the traffic and I don't like it. But this is a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Seeing no others, I'll declare the public hearing closed. And I don't know if you want to make your comments now. Please, go ahead. You look like you're anxious.
Yeah,
go ahead. Just limit yourself, if you would, please,
I'll
to
try to make it
4
brief.
hours.
Yeah.
No, how about 5 minutes and start the timer if you would.
I would like to just let all the residents, pro and con for the project, we appreciate your view. The young lady said earlier, right to speech, freedom of religion, that's what we're all about in this country. And so I told Pastor earlier, I welcome the opposition. Because usually when you're doing something right, something good, opposition comes. And while the people like the church, they're having trouble with the tower, and I heard a couple of the opponents suggest that they're the beautiful, stunning vistas and the view that's going to be taken away. I would like, if we can, I'm going to give an exhibit to the clerk. If you could pass that. You are currently looking, and this exhibit will follow. This is the La Madre Range. You see it on your screen before you. Our church, in terms of location and views, is right here, down here at the bottom of the base of this hill. Oh, did we miss something? Oh, is that my head? Right here? Yeah, it's right here. Now, I don't know, when you're looking at the entirety of the view, this is... No, it's not superimposed on there. But there is a transmission tower right here that's 150 feet tall, and the 150 feet ends at this point. Our church is a little more than half of that. So this is to give perspective, because I think we need to get a larger view of the real view. And so I'm going to, you have an exhibit before you. It looks like, this was taken
2 miles.
2 miles. Okay, 2 miles. I have an exhibit here that you have in front of you, but I'm going to run through a series of photos that I personally went out, spent a whole afternoon taking pictures up and down Cheyenne and up and down Cliff Shadows to give you what I perceive as the view that people have in the area, because this is the subject of the discussion, the stunning vistas and the view, and devaluation because you're taking away the view. I'm going to start, if I can, this is 1 mile away coming up Cheyenne.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I understand the view seems to be the the main discussion.
Yeah.
The board, what we look at is what your request on the application is. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we could sit here and talk 3 or 4 hours about the view, but there's no ordinance about the view or anything. It's not the request from the applicant. So,
Correct.
so let's keep germane to the point of what your request is.
Well, if I could go back to the ordinance.
If you've got 27 pictures, you've got to go real quick.
They're going to
under
go
5
quick
minutes
because the ordinance does talk
clock's
about
ticking.
preserving vistas and views, and so I think, if I may, Mr. Commissioner.
Yeah, go through them, but we don't want to.
Is the gist of your argument that you're not going to significantly affect the views? Is that the bottom line?
Yes.
Okay.
This is Wallapai and Cheyenne. We're getting closer from the previous one. Transmission towers, light poles, signage, boxes. This is Shady Timbers, just east of at the Walmart Plaza there. And again, the church would be built right here at this hill. So this is an example of the view. This is Cheyenne, just east of the 215. And I'm going to run through these because I think you're going to get the point. This is 6 of 28 on your map that you have. These are all labeled. This is number 6 of 28. Northeast corner, Cheyenne 215. The church would be here behind the light poles and transmission tower and lines. This is Novat and Nevada Falls. If you turn north, just prior to the overpass, you'll see this is the church right here. This is the bank building that Commissioner Evans spoke about last meeting, and the nice pole. This is Gowan and Austell. Further down Gowan in the neighborhood, this is the church, and you probably wouldn't even see it from that view. This is Gowan and Novat. Here's the flag, top of the view, top of the mountain there. This is Lone Mountain and Cliff Shadows. I don't even think you might see it back there. You might not. This is Western Lone Mountain Road next to the gravel pit. This would be it way down in this area. And of course, you see the channel and the rooftops. Now, these series of photos, this is a view. I'm going to show you that view. If you turn your head 90 degrees from the previous picture and you look over here, this is what you're going to see. This is a view. Western end of Lone Mountain, real view 1 of 3, 2 of 3, and 3 of 3. Huh?
1 minute.
Okay. Cliff Shadows, coming down Cliff Shadows from the north. Cliff Shadows in Alexander. The park at the west end of Alexander. You may not even see the church on the other side of that. Cliff Shadows, west side of Gilmore. Corner of Cliff Shadows and Gilmore. And I could go on. Here's one just north of the Focus Property Group with the signage, billboards, and the like. The point being, and there's a few more, but I know we need to move on. This is from Ann Road across the street, or Sun City across the street. And the point of all these photos, and this is another one of Sun City across the street, the point of all these photos is this. We appreciate views. I appreciate views. When I have one, I'd like to preserve it. If I don't have one, and the point being that we don't have the pristine views and vista, then perhaps a variance is appropriate, because I think the building, as people have said, is going to add to the aesthetics. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your excellent presentation. Now, the public hearing is closed. I'd like to turn the matter over to the planning commissioners for discussion and possible motion.
If I may, Chairman, just 30 seconds on the hardship of bureaucracy.
Start the clock, please.
The plans were submitted on October 6th, and that's when the fees were paid. The item came before the council approximately 6 weeks later, Planning Commission on November 20th. It was obeyed by the Planning Commission. There was one neighborhood meeting held after that abeyance. Mr. Petrero became the project representative on December 23rd. The item was obeyed in January, and it is before you this evening. So based upon that timeline, there was no unnecessary delays on this project caused by city staff.
Yeah, I think the comment was regarding BLM. Okay. Anyone wishing to speak on the matter? If not, I'll talk for a second, because it's my area and I live just right in that particular area. I find I have. Where did Mr. Farlow
you guys
go?
need to stay back up here, Ron.
Mr. Farlow, I have hiked that mountain just within the last 3 weeks up as high as I could go, and I could not climb up to the top of their property line. So I think that that experience taught me that we do have an irregular shaped parcel. I think that their choice of colors and materials are consistent with the backdrop. I think that the height of the building from a reasonable distance, and I would define that as maybe 200 yards, has no negative impact on the ridge line. No one talked about it, but it's something that we need to take into consideration. That's the potential for alternate use of the property. I would find a church that is aesthetically pleasing, even though it may have a tower that has a negative element to it. But the overall impact of that structure as compared to what other thing might be built, I find it to be very beneficial. The other things that might be built would be a orange and yellow structure that sold fast food that had a clown on it, or perhaps golden arches. I don't think that would be an enhancement to the area. The alternate project might be a nice high-density housing project, apartments by another name. I don't think that would be an enhancement to the area. I think that the acreage that's being proposed as the off-site parking that took so long to get through BLM, a couple of years getting through PLM, they were working fast and hard for them. I have spent 10 years trying to get a parcel out of BLM. The parcel that you did get the agreement to build the excess parking that's required to substantiate the request for the parking variance is an area that, if it were not provided for this particular project, would sit there for years and years in its current condition. The city is getting a free park with parking that will be available for the citizens in the area to use at times other than Sunday mornings, evenings, and Wednesday evenings. So that's the proponents for this project are picking up the expense for not only development but for ongoing maintenance of what's going to be a public park, a picnic area. It's not going to have lighted ball diamonds or anything, but it's going to be an aesthetically pleasing addition to the area. I would be remiss if I didn't divulge that I did take the advantage of going back to the historical knowledge base on this project, and I did talk to former city councilman and current county commissioner Larry Brown and find out the history of the project from a first place basis, and I've taken his position into consideration into my deliberations. He didn't decide for me. I made up my own mind, but I thought it only fair to talk to him. And so when I look at the hillside ordinance, it's got some determinations that need to be made before you can grant a variance. And I think that not only the shape of this particular parcel, but also the variance in altitudes, the slope of the project certainly meets the criteria for an unusual shape that would justify some considerations of that. While the timeline you point out about delays in the project are well-founded, like I said, anything less than 10 years is pretty quick by BLM standards. But we did put in a hillside ordinance after you were well into the design process. So I take that into consideration. And that's sort of where I stand on it. So I think I'm going to come out in support of the project as presented, looking at all aspects of it. I think it's better than having a fast food and a gas station and some of the other types of features that can be there.
Mr. Chairman,
please.
A couple comments. One, and I do appreciate your comments and all the work that Mr. Pichero and everybody with the church have done. I mean, they've been very accommodating in providing us additional information. Took a very high road with regards to additional meetings that were requested. But let me bring a little different perspective to this. I have no opposition to a church at this location, none whatsoever. I think the church has an excellent mission, and my comments are from a planning commission perspective, the codes, the history, the master plan, the things that every one of you out here would want us to look at if this was a different type of project, if this was a 5-story office building with no relationship to the community. So with that, I'd like to go through the rest of these comments. I understand the history of Lone Mountain West. I understand the timing of your involvement. I think the Hillside Ordinance is absolutely golden, and we would destroy our visual heritage of those mountains if we didn't hold a strong commitment to that ordinance and to try and not just cut into the mountains. And I'm not saying cut into the mountains with regards to your project, visually cut into those mountains by allowing excessive height buildings and the visual distraction from those vistas. I believe those vistas are, again, one of our greatest assets in this community. I believe that the church will create jobs, and if this project goes at the pace it's been going right now, those jobs will probably be sometime in the next 3 years from now. Very much like our stimulus package. We won't need it by the time it gets here. But the church is important. I've looked at every planned community north of Charleston, west of 95, out to Town Center, which the city spent countless hours developing standards for. And when you go west of 95, at the Tech Park, you have buildings that are above 5 floors. Hospital there, which is at 95 and Summerlin Parkway, you have an office building that is greater than 5 stories. At Buffalo and Summerlin Parkway, you have an office building that is right at 5 floors. In Summerlin, in the heart of Summerlin, at Town Center, you have a hospital that is 8 stories, and that hospital was represented to every resident who bought a home in Summerlin before they ever bought a house. That hospital and that height was part of the plan, and it was golden with regards to their commitment to the community. Other than those buildings I've brought up, there is not another building over 2 floors, 2 stories. So when you talk about, this isn't an issue with the church. I plan to support your general plan or your major amendment to the, for the public facilities. I have no qualms with that. But where my problems lie is that what is being proposed is such an aberration with regards to scale, compatibility of design. A 5-story building, and it's not just a prayer building, which Mr. Pachero and the pastor has shared with us. There's office space up into those 5 floors. The parking, the finished floor elevation of this building, based on what we're able to share with the applicant, is above the level of the street significantly. So at the point you look at this 85 feet, for the person standing at the corner of Cliff Shadows and Novat, it will feel like a 100-foot high building. Like Commissioner Trowbridge, I actually took more pictures than Mr. Pachero out there, but it wasn't my job to bring those pictures. Our job is to make decisions based on what's presented to us.
Correct.
And what the history is. If we don't adhere to some height restraints along this corridor here, my concerns are that if 1's good, 2's good, 3's good, I want to ask staff, there's like 100 and some odd acres of public facilities master planned just north at Lone Mountain, right?
I'm sorry, I was
That's okay.
discussing another issue. Could you repeat the question?
North of Lone Mountain Road, we've approved the master plan changes here. public facilities that go up, I think it's almost up to Ann Road, west of the 95, or west of the Beltway. There's significant public facility acreage.
Yes, you're discussing the section there, the 215 in that area for the
Right.
public facilities there, including the school bus yard.
Yes, and those are, within public facilities, there's a multitude of uses. But if we don't address the height here, I guarantee you almost everybody here will be back when there's a facility that isn't as dear to your heart that comes in wanting 3 or 4 or 5 stories at that end of this community. And it becomes very difficult for us to sit here and say, hey, what's good for the community is good for the entire community. So that's the dilemma I have. And also to Commissioner Trowbridge, I don't think the city can enter into BLM agreements to put a aberration building with a big red-headed clown on top of it and other monikers of, and I understand the issue that, you know, this, if we do this public facilities, we won't have apartments there. We will have public facility, and that's very well defined in our code. I don't believe any of us here, and your architects included, can make a grand argument for putting a 5-story building against a trailhead, which was conceived and unbelievable amount of expense to create a one-of-a-kind amenity which is for the entire community. And now we're here today looking at a building that would almost make that trailhead a waste of money and time and effort, because it will be impacted by this development. I wish and would love to work with every one of you and talk about a building that celebrates that visual heritage along that property there, that would give you what you want as a prayer facility and as a sanctuary, but yet still lets me and everybody else in this community that gets stuck driving up and down the 215 see the mountains which are there and which are important to us all. So.
Anyone else wishing to express a thought on the matter?
Just a couple comments. I don't think we're going to set precedents. I'm going to be able to support it in its entirety. I was toying with the height of the tower, wondering whether it should be 2-story, 50-story, or 80 stories. But when you look at the height of the hill and scope of the height of the tower, it looks kind of miniature. But I don't think it's setting precedent, because I think that's why our board is in place, because if this is approved and it seems to create a pattern, other applicants are going to have to come in and go through the same process. So they're not going to come in before me and say, well, the church got an 80-foot tower, so I want a 12-story condominium complex. I'll tell you right now, no. Because my point is, it's kind of a symbolic beacon out for that side of town, and if we can take the time to look at these hotels, casinos, the Manhattanization of Las Vegas, and a lot of times we do that for monetary gain, and a lot of times that monetary gain doesn't even trickle down into our pockets, but I think this really will trickle down to the community's pockets in a sense, that people can go up there and have a sense that it's theirs, and not only the people around there, but like the musician from UNLV said, people worldwide will come and want to come see that. And I think that's significant when we have people wanting to flock to Las Vegas to see church features rather than houses of ill repute and other thing else is going on. And so I'll be able to support that. One of my concerns, though, was, and I wanted to ask Public Works, when we talk about putting a pedestrian, I guess you're going to break that street up with you said paver stones so that folks can go across. My concern is that the right type of material for the long term? If you've got a paved street and then it changes to a paver type stone and then it goes back to paved concrete, over a period of time of cars going over and over that, what does that do to that section?
In general, we discourage using any kind of paver stones within the actual vehicular travel areas of the road. If they wanted to put the paver stones within the median area as an accent and a pedestrian refuge in the median, that would be fine. But within the roadway itself, for maintenance issues, for sometimes those paver stones can actually catch at your heels and trip you as you're walking across the street. So we tend to discourage that sort of thing in the actual roadways. So I would respectfully suggest that they would work with our traffic engineering division to come up with some kind of a more useful and friendly way of designating the crosswalk rather than paver stones. What they're proposing isn't necessarily what would end up there, I guess is what I'm saying.
And we agree with that. That the paver stones was a suggestion only, and Public Works would probably give us a menu of choices to their liking, and we'd comply with whatever they believed would be in the public's best interest. So I think we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Chairman.
Other than that, I have I'm in support of it. Thank you.
Okay. And we have Commissioner Stevens.
Evans,
I'm sorry.
Close enough. Yeah, I wanted to, just as a matter of disclosure, Mr. Patero and Mr. Kennedy both met with me, and to tell you the truth, everything they've represented here this evening is what we discussed individually. So I wanted to make that disclosure. There's nothing new. And I appreciate their work in this, and obviously the diligence that they've provided, I think, has helped to mitigate or minimize some of the many obstacles that have come through with this project. And in all, I think everyone here, and I can't speak for my colleagues, but I think they all are somewhat unanimous in the concerns about protecting the ridge lines, protecting the mountain lines, and that's why I think we were adamant about creating and supporting and moving forward our hillside ordinance. But that having been said, I understand the unique nature of this and the timeline and some of the hardships that you've discussed this evening, and I'm comfortable with that. The one thing that occurs to me, and it's not something we get to decide about, I made the reference to is it a church or is it a bank? I mean, we don't get to make a distinction. It's really about the building and the land use. But the thought also occurred to me that what would we have done in the Middle Ages had all the mountaintops in Europe been precluded from being built on? You wouldn't have any of the great monasteries or castles. So I think that's something that really need to look at when we create these rules. There's a reason for it, but I think it's the spirit that we really have to embrace. And in my mind, and I think you've mitigated the parking issues and all the other concerns. It really comes down to the height and the scope. And as I said before, I think that the integrity of the design and the spirit of the architecture gives me a great deal of comfort in moving this forward, and it absolutely will see my support. So I thank you all for your work.
Thank you. Commissioner Quinn?
I just want to disclose that I also met with Mr. Paul and Mr. Patero, and I feel that sometimes rules are made to be broken, and in this case you're setting the bar higher for anybody to come near you or next to you or down the road, because what we're going to look at is a pristine project built with such care and just love for what you're doing that anybody that comes next to you is going to have a really tough time beating what you're doing. So you're setting the bar high, and you're going to get my full support this evening, and I thank you for the work that you're doing for the city.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Commissioner.
Ellsworth?
Buck. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I think the one thing that I was concerned with was the height, but I think, and actually not just the height, but justifying it for purposes of the variance. And I take to heart what Commissioner Truesdale mentioned, but I guess I think that the way this is built, and there's a great little it's called line of sight cross section, where it actually shows how the building fits in against the mountain, which really shows to me that this is taking advantage of the location. And I actually think that that it actually enhances the line side of the mountain itself, of this small mountain, by having this height. So I do support it.
Thank you, Commissioner
Mr.
Buck.
Chairman, briefly.
Go ahead.
I just want to mention a couple of things. First of all, just so the record is clear here, the passage of time does not justify your hardship, in my opinion. That doesn't. I see your point, but from our perspective, that's not what counts. But really, the question is whether you met your burden of proof to justify, particularly this 85-foot tower that seems to be a problem for people. But I want you to hear my perspective. In light of the landscaping, in light of the mountain that's right adjacent to it, in light of the larger mountains that are behind it, I think you have a justification. I think you've met your burden to justify this variance here. Or at least you've done a real good job at making it fit in to the existing landscape. So I applaud you for it. I think you've done a good thing. I also think that as to parking is a problem for me, because you're going to have a lot of people there. But you've resolved the parking. Yeah, I understand how it's read here, but when you add in the other parking, the other location, we're there. You meet the requirements of the parking. So in substance, you've met it, and I applaud you for it. I love churches. I think churches are great. I think for this very reason, I look at the people out here. I like what it does for the individual. I think we could all be better off if we took this active role in our churches. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I support you in your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, before we ask for a vote or a motion from the Planning Commission, I would like to invite a show of hands, and only from those that live in the impacted area. Those that live in the impacted area that are in support of the proposal, raise your hand. Okay, and those that are in opposition that live within the area, raise your hand. Okay, thank you. Just have the input. Ready for a motion if anyone's ready?
Mr. Chairman? All right. Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll move for approval of item 15, subject to all staff conditions and recommendations.
Motion's been made. Please cast your vote. Motion carries. Mr. Chair, in regards to item number 16.
Mr. Chairman, move for approval of item 16 and following staff recommendation for approval, subject to all conditions and recommendations.
Motion's been made. Please cast your vote. Opposed? Motion carries. In regards to 17.
Mr. Chairman, move for approval of item 17, subject to the conditions, the if approved conditions by staff.
Motion's been made. Please cast your votes. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 18, rather.
Move for approval of item 18, subject to the if approved conditions.
Motion's been made. Please cast your votes. Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion for approval of item 19, subject to all staff conditions.
There was an amendment.
As amended.
As amended.
As amended. Motion's been made. Please cast your votes. Opposed? Carries. And item number 20.
Move for approval of item number 20, subject to staff conditions, and is this, I think, the where we do the parking, the work with Public Works on
That
the...
was the last one.
That last one? Okay, thanks. So move for approval of item 20, subject to the if approved conditions.
Motion's been made. Please cast your votes. Motion carries.
And all matters go forward to City Council on March 18th.
Thank you. We'd now like to declare about a 15-minute recess. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening.
How many stories you want?
I'm gonna go check
Oh, hey. Just want to speak? I say, I was going to rush up at the end and give my testimony to the church, but it seemed like you had it under control. Thank you very much. Thank you. You ran the meeting well. You always do. Okay. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks.
hillside ordinances are tricky.
Appreciate your comments.
Hillside, within the county. The hillside ordinance conceived in the abstract works, and then you see an application in real life. And so, is it typical that those reviews well, usually we don't. Usually we do both. That you restrict the ability to develop when the slope is too high, and you also restrict the ability to project above the ridge. But it's very tough to conceptualize. So this is really friendly.
Thank you, Chairman. I really appreciate it. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you.
See, where this one is deficient is that this is a tall mountain. And
right.
And it goes up and then it comes down here like this. And so if they were talking about a 15% grade, the point is silent as to where does your 15% come into play? Is this a moving thing that kind of goes, or is it from here to here, or what do we
Well, normally it's applied to the parcel in question.
See, this parcel went from here to about here.
Well, normally you talk about the portion you're developing. You wouldn't hold it against the 8% portion that this is 40%. You wouldn't hold it against it. You'd say that's fine. You can develop the 8% portion.
And I think that's what we have going on here.
I couldn't tell.
Once it got to be so steep, it's undevelopable.
Right, and so they probably aren't developing.
And they made a 14-foot cut in it, and that was it. The overall thing, they own clear up halfway to 3 quarters way up the hill.
I had one of those on Sunrise Mountain. We had the exact same discussion. And by the way, we had the exact. Go ahead.
How you doing? I have a question. One of the applicants for item number 31 on this was in advance 2 weeks. I wasn't here at the very meeting. They want to hold it in advance, but it's at 31.
You have to pull it forward to hold it in a minute.
Or, I mean, it's your discretion. 31, it's the special use permit for a wireless communication. It's recommended denial.
Advance is good. We had, in fact, in the county, we had much the same discussion about the Mormon Temple. About height and view of the mountain and slope and traffic. And, we clearly down the side of that's an appropriate spot for a turnout. I mean,
You sure you're not in front?
You know why? You know why. Right? You knew that, didn't you? Or you just make it up?
I was a law professor at the University of Toledo.
You see? You can
know
see
what?
him, you can hear him a mile away.
He knew it and didn't even know.
Greg?
No, I was a law professor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
for 12
Oh, it's
years.
out.
So you speak in
And I bragged.
Fair enough. Well, there's no apology here. I just wondered where they were. I see we've solved the problem. Thank you. Apparently, I'm the only one that ever uses it. Or it wouldn't have been out. We talked about naturally, it's at the end of the agenda, like all my items. Oh, I had notes in the list for people so far, so I can run through it and see who is it.
As long as we're near, because it's for us. See, now they're on. See the red? What?
I'm going to get a cup of coffee. I'm going to go for a minute.
A 2-week advance, so that would be it would be 2/26 is the date. So advance 2/26 is it.
He is. This is short. Pete, I'm sorry.
We'll be starting the meeting again in about 3 minutes.
No, we're not allowed to have the key to the fridge.
You can't spike the water? Man.
Oh, really? Okay. You go for it, girl.
They keep you busy. There you go. That's all we need.
Good heavens, I keep learning and learning here. I don't know why.
Cross.
It's not that big a deal.
Who are we missing?
Your boyfriend right there next to you. Do you want me to dump these, or
You want to make the motion?
Glenn, do you want these all up high
No, I
like
want
this?
them right high like
Okay,
this.
fine.
It's like-
You're building a bridge between.
My space and your space.
Boy, am I on your wrong side tonight.
No, I'm going to take it all home. I was going to throw it away. But I'm not. Okay, let's reconvene this meeting if we could. We've had a request to move item number 31 up, and with that request is a request to have the item obeyed to the February 26th meeting.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if we could have the applicant make that request formally on the dais.
Okay.
31.
Good evening, Shane Hennessy, York 7030 Smoke Ranch Road. Would just like to hold this item for a couple of weeks, please.
Thank you.
Number
Item
31, please.
Item number 31.
Mr. Chairman, a motion to hold item 31, SUP 32816, until the
February 26th meeting?
February 26th meeting.
Motion's been made. Please cast your vote. Post. Motion carried.
Thank you. See you in a couple of weeks.
See you in a couple of weeks. Okay, now we move to item number 26, which is zoning 32740. The applicant owner is the First Presbyterian Church of Las Vegas, Nevada, from RE Residential Estates to O Office at 1515 West Charleston Boulevard, 1608 and 1620 Ellis Avenue. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed rezoning of the subject site to an office zoning designation would result in bringing the site into compliance with the site's current general plan designation, as well as with the intent of the Rancho Charleston corridor study. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of this application. Please note additional letters of protest and support have been received after the publishing. Thank you.
Thank you. I need to divulge that an applicant representative is a member of my Rotary Club. I don't think that relationship in any way affects my judgment on the matter, so please proceed. I'd like to declare the public hearing open, and for the applicant, please go ahead.
My name is James Veltman. I live in 89129. Oh, that's the wrong case. I'm sorry.
It was an inside joke that some of us missed.
I am the owner of Studio VBM, and I have with me Pastor Jim Houston Henkin, who represents the church at First Presbyterian. And basically what we are proposing is to change the RE zoning that they currently have had for years to office, which is what the master plan allows, because we are concerned about some of the activities that are happening with the adjacent freeway, and we want to get our zoning in line with the master plan. That's basically our whole presentation.
Thank you.
I have nothing to add unless you have questions.
The public hearing is open. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter, please approach the dais and let us know your thoughts.
Thank you. Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. Didn't we hear something about this before? Isn't there a playground or something involved here?
I may, there were several other applications. In this case, this is just the zoning to bring it into compliance with the general plan.
This is not an abeyance or anything
No,
like
sir.
that? Thank you.
Ma'am?
Hi, I'm Christina Gibson, 1309 Richard Court. I'm the president of the Ellis Neon Neighborhood Association. And the Presbyterian Church has not come to us, nor have they come to the Scotch 80s organization and talked to us about this. We currently have some concerns, and I have a letter that you may have. If you don't, I have extra copies here. I also have some recent pictures that were taken this week about the current use of the property, showing how it's violating the current use and an encumbrance on the neighborhood. I think I'm okay here. These are the current commercial type AMR vehicles that are being parked in the Presbyterian Church parking lot. There's a lot of problems with that flowing into the neighborhood. My concern is that no mitigation has been provided to the neighbors and no discussion has occurred. The photos on the left show the current use of the property. One of the neighbors just provided them to me this week. He has a lot of problems with the smog going directly into his yard. He can't work in his yard. He's been complaining for quite a while, and it's one of the reasons we needed to get this group together. I also have a comment letter from the president of the Scotch 80s Association, and he was unable to be here today because he was out of town. And he was concerned that Presbyterian Church was not including the neighbors in changed use and working with us on things such as traffic pattern changes and development changes, and he would like to see more work with the community done before any zoning changes.
Thank you very much.
Through the chairman,
And
please.
just-
I'd like to first.
Let me get
Oh, I'm
the,
sorry.
if anyone else in attendance wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Now I'll turn it over to Commissioner Quinn. Sorry.
Thank you. I'd like to disclose that I know Miss Gibson, her son washes my dogs and does a great job at it, but this has no, I believe that I can justifiably make a comment and vote on this matter. There have been enough opposition, Pastor, that we do request a neighborhood meeting for Ward for the neighbors and you. And I did drive by it. I've been by there twice in the last week and a half, and it's a parking lot for ambulances. It looks like there's an office already being ran out of there, and there's also parking for the people that work in the existing areas. So we need to make some clarification between you and what you're going to use it for and these neighbors who have put so much love and money into their homes and into that neighborhood. So is 30 days fair, Mr. Rankin?
Certainly, we'd be happy to have a community meeting. I was actually unaware, and so
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of calls, and I just think that we owe it to that neighborhood to be good neighbors, which I know you want to be, and the church is great in the school, but the bottom line is I'd like you to have a neighborhood meeting. So, however long you think that will take. Margot, is that about a 30-dayer?
We have no problem with that.
Oh, thank you.
Because we're not changing anything.
Yeah, if you could meet with Ms. Gibson after this, if my colleagues agree with me, then you guys can set that up, and then we'll see you back here, and I'm sure we'll be all on the same page. But it's just they just want to.
Is that a motion to hold it till March 12th then?
That is.
Okay. Motion has been made, so please cast your votes.
Thank you.
Motion.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, for Mr. Anderson, I just had one question. Since the comments came up on this with regards to what's going on at this Charleston off-ramp, is there any updates from NDOT on what is? Because we haven't had one in a long time, so I just wanted to throw that in.
The environmental impact statement is still under review. They do not have a record of decision, so there has been no specific design approved for the improvements for Charleston as Project Neon. We'll keep you posted as they change, but so far there's been no decision.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We can now move on to item number 27, which is zoning 32758. The applicant owner is LVRC Residential LLC from U Undeveloped to SC Service Commercial to C1 Limited Commercial at 3371 North Buffalo Drive. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, as the requested rezoning to the C1 Limited Commercial District is consistent with the existing Service Commercial General Plan designation, and the existing use will conform to both Title 19 and the General Plan, staff is recommending approval. Please note additional letters of support has been received after the publishing. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to declare the public hearing open and ask anyone in attendance wishing to speak on the matter, please approach the mic on behalf of the applicant.
I'm here on behalf of the applicant. My name is Brad Greenstein. I'm an officer of LVRC Residential LLC. My address is 2386 Malaga Peak Street, Las Vegas, Nevada 89135. I'm here to answer any questions. I think the staff report speaks for itself.
Thank you. Anyone else in attendance wishing to speak? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed and turn it over to planning commissioners for discussion and possible motion.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no discussion, I'll move for approval of item number 27, subject to staff conditions and recommendations.
Motion's been made. Please cast your vote. Motion carries.
Goes forward to council on March 18th.
Thank you very much.
We now move to item number 28 and companion item number 29. 28 is zoning 32809. The applicant owner is International Hod Carriers Building and Common Laborers Local Union number 872. It's from R1 Single Family Residential to C1 Limited Commercial at 4201 East Bonanza Road. And item 29 is Site Development Review 32807. It's for a proposed 7,625 square foot two-story addition to an existing 16,030 square foot building and expansion of training yard facilities for a trade school with a waiver to allow 0-foot architecture landscape buffers along portions of the east and west perimeters where 8 feet is required at 4201 East Bonanza Road. Staff report, please.
In regards to the request for rezoning, staff finds that it's compatible with the current land use, and also this parcel was split zoned initially, and this will bring the full parcel into compliance with the 2020 master plan. In regards to the site plan review, staff supports the waiver request as its operation as a trade school for years. This will improve the area, provide landscaping along the buffer the residential that moved in afterwards, and staff recommends approval. Please note we did receive additional comments after publication.
Thank you. Now declare the public hearing open. Anyone in attendance wishing to speak on the matter, please approach the microphone and state your name for the record and your position regarding this matter for the applicant.
Okay, I'm representing the applicant. I'm Jemmy Nisley, 2111 Edgewood Avenue, representing the Southern Nevada Laborers Local 872 Training Trust, and with me is also Louis DeSalvo. And we appreciate staff support. I think this is going to breathe new life into this existing old building. The scope of work for this project is basically internal. There's a courtyard that is a part of the existing building, and we're infilling a two-story addition into this courtyard. As part of our plan, we were not planning on doing site work. There is a training yard that is existing to remain. There's a parking lot that is existing to remain. We are happy to accommodate all of staff's conditions, with the exception of the last two. Public Works let me know that the last one, number 18, they're fine to strike, which is a drainage study, because the scope of work for this project is not going to affect the drainage study. But item number 17, they're asking for us to upgrade our curb cuts and driveway entrances into the project. There are currently 2 driveway entrances, and they have been functioning properly and fine for over 25 years, and we ask that we do not need to make any additional site work to add that to the scope of work for this project. So we ask to strike number 17 and 18.
Thank you. Anyone else in attendance wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed, and I'll defer to the Public Works staff in regards to item number 7 or condition 17.
Certainly. With regards to condition 18, we agree that that can be eliminated. With regards to condition number 17, this is an opportunity to have the driveways currently on Bonanza brought up to current standards, which would allow for traffic traveling on Bonanza to get off of the street and into their site without slowing down traffic. After 25 years, we think that Bonanza is starting to develop more traffic, and anything we can do to prevent slowdowns is worth doing. So we recommend that the condition remain. It is, of the two driveways, the easternmost driveway is the one that we identified would provide the lowest impact to their site plan to reconfigure. We think it's a good idea, but certainly you can direct us as to your decision.
Thank you. Seeing the public hearing is closed, I'd like to turn it over to the planning commissioners now for discussion and possible motions.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve item 28, ZON 32809, subject to all staff's recommendation and condition.
Motion's been made. Please cast your vote.
Before you make
We
the
have another
vote,
one?
I think we were eliminating, we had agreed that the condition number 18 could be eliminated.
That would be on item 29.
Oh, on the zoning. I see. Okay, thank you.
Okay, on 28, we've got a motion for approval, so please cast your vote. Opposed? Motion carries. In regards to item number 29,
Item 29, move for approval of SDR 32807, subject to all staff's recommendation and conditions, and the deletion of condition number 18.
motion's been made.
Is there discussion on 17 as well?
There was a request that they delete 17, but I think we're hearing no motion to take action on that, and it's probably a relatively insignificant cost of the overall project, and if it would benefit traffic flow along Bonanza, it's probably for everybody's best interest.
That's
quite
agreeable.
candidly.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So the motion's been made with
Thank
the
you.
deletion of 18. Please cast your
Correct.
votes. Motion carries. Congratulations. Hope you enjoy your new training facility.
Thank you.
Go forward to City Council on March 18th.
We now move to item number 32, which is special use permit 32748. The applicant is MV Spa, owner is North Shore Plaza LLC, for proposed massage establishment with waivers to allow the massage establishment to remain open until 11 p.m., where 9 p.m. is the latest allowed, and a 0-foot distance separation to residential use where 400 feet is required at 8370 West Cheyenne Avenue, suite number 101. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, staff is unable to support the two requested waivers and finds the use to be not compatible with, harmonious with the surrounding properties, and requests denial.
Thank you.
Please note we have received additional protest on this item since publication.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to declare the public hearing open. Anyone in attendance wishing to speak on this item, please address the microphone. Give us your name first.
Hernando Lagdamen.
Can you speak into the microphone?
Oh, this one here.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Hernando Lagdamen. I'm representing the owner. I know that there's a zero clearance between the residential and commercial area, but in between there's also a fence, and to access around it is more than 1,000 feet.
Thank you. Anyone else in attendance wishing to speak on this matter?
Oh, that's in there with the Steiner's place up on Cheyenne.
Thank you. Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. Why is it necessary to stay open till 11 o'clock?
Well, the massage is gonna take about 1 hour. Our last customer gonna walk in about 10 o'clock, and we're also on a neighborhood of Albertson and CBS, which is open 24 hours on the same complex.
Thank you. Anyone else in attendance wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed. Thank you. I'd like to turn this over for planning commissioners for discussion and possible motion.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
If you would, please.
Applicant, hey, wait. Come back, please. I have a question. Again, this goes back to the burden is on you. I don't think I understood what you were saying. Why do you think you need to stay open until 11? I don't understand. You have some customers that come in at 10, but is there any other reason why you want to stay open until 11?
Well, for this kind of business, you have to, as much as possible, you have to open as long. Las Vegas is a 24 hours city, and they're coming from casino and work, so sometimes they drop by and massage to have what you call a relaxation. So for 9 o'clock, it's hard, because most of the people work on the evening and to have a relaxation after work.
So what percent of your clients are one? I mean, is this one out of every 1,000 want to go after at 11, or is this one in every 2? I mean, how? I don't understand. You might have 1 or 2, but does that justify a change?
Well, for us, it is. We have to stay open as long as we could.
Okay.
Do you currently operate a facility here in Las Vegas?
Most of the massage that I learned, they open about 24 hours.
No, I say, do you currently operate a facility in Las Vegas today?
No.
Thank you.
And show the picture that was on the screen just a few moments ago that showed what appears to be a jewelry store. Is that the storefront that you're renting? That Brandon Adams Jewelries, is that the one you're renting?
No, I think
101.
Mr. Chairman, it's the
I
empty
see the-
suite between the
I s-
gift store and the jewelry store.
Yeah, I see it. And yes, okay.
Are you the adult video?
No. Okay, I understand. Thank you.
And
Yeah.
one last thing. Do you have an internal diagram showing us how the floor layout's going to be of your proposed space?
Well,
Like where your rooms are going to be and your tables and so forth. Do you have anything like that available?
Oh yeah, we have that.
Do you have it? So you can give it to us?
Not now.
Okay. I mean, my suggestion to you, candidly, I don't think you're ready. I won't support it at this point. But if you want to put this on hold for a bit and get us some diagrams, let us see what it is, try to justify them, and I just don't see it yet. So we'll deny. I'll vote against it unless you want to wait and take this off for 30 days and see if you can work it a bit.
The drawing is ready, but what the picture here is not really clear enough, so I have to make it visible for the screen to see.
Mr. Chairman, I understand Commissioner Ellsworth's comments. I'm a little taken back. I mean, this is a neighborhood location, and for us to start extending hours without having a kind of a real good picture, I can't find that I would support this either. So, if this is something you want to hold, I suggest you probably take that route. If not, I can make a motion.
I think it's the best way to put it on hold for now. But,
Then, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we hold this for 30 days.
Motion's been made for put it on hold, so please cast your votes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
I do my best sleeping after
Post.
11 o'clock.
Motion carries. We now move to item number 33. Is special use permit 32793. The applicant is India's Grill. The owner is Decatur Crossing Center LLC. It's for proposed beer, wine, cooler on sale establishment within an existing 3,432 square foot restaurant at 222 South Decatur Boulevard. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, as this request meets all of the minimum special use permit requirements and can be conducted in a compatible and harmonious manner with the surrounding development and land uses, staff is recommending approval of this application. Please note additional letters of protest and support have been received after the publishing. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'd like to declare the public hearing open. Anyone in attendance wish to speak on this matter, please approach the mic and give your name for the record and state your case.
I'm Jitman, owner of India's Grill, in Decatur Crossing Center. And there had been liquor license before. I guess the owners, they either forgot to pay the fees or they just missed it. So we are starting all over.
Thank you.
We are the new owners. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir?
Did you bring samples?
Oh, sure. You're welcome, sir.
Sir, are you in agreement with the conditions as
Yes.
presented? Thank you.
If
Okay.
you are is anybody else here to speak?
I don't know. That's what I was getting ready to ask.
Sorry, sir.
Anyone else in attendance wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed and turn the matter over to the planning commissioners for discussion and possible motion.
I would like to make a motion if you would like to follow all of staff's recommendation with approval of SUP 32793, which will be final action, and I wish you a lot of luck, sir.
Thanks.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, it can't be final.
Can't be final action. Sorry, I didn't mean that. But I still wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you, ma'am.
Motion's been made. Please cast your votes.
Oh, if denied.
Post. Motion carries. We now move to item
This
30.
matter goes forward to council on March 18th.
Item number 34 is special use permit 32801. The applicant is Maru Restaurant. The owner is KHJ Property Holdings LLC, is to add a supper club use to an existing 6,725 square foot restaurant with service bar at 2025 Village Center Circle. Staff report, please.
Staff finds the use to be compatible with the surrounding area and the shopping center it's located within. Staff does note that the approval is based upon a condition number 4, which requires a revised site plan to create a barrier sufficient enough to prevent easy access to the bar area. Currently depicted on the site plan as a curtain, and staff finds that the curtain not to be a sufficient barrier as it can be removed at different times. But staff does recommend approval with conditions as written.
My name is Hyun-Chun Kim from 1174 Cottonwood Ranch Court, Henderson, Nevada 89052. I'm here on behalf of the applicant here. I've been involved in this business since the beginning of the project, buying the building and stuff. And now we are running the business under the service bar license. And then we have a bar existing in our business premises. And then, based on our experience for a year last year, many customers wanted to use the bar area. But, as far as I know, we need a special use permit for the supper club license and also the supper club license to run the bar area. So that's why we request a supper club license, the special use permit for that. And also, I've been talking to the staffs over here that regarding the barrier issue. And then we decide to put a wall, which is wooden wall, which is hard to see through. So that will be sufficient to block the easy access from the minors and stuff. Also, we don't have any intention to do the gaming in the business since we respect our neighbors. And then the concerns with the Howard Hughes Corporation, which is managing the area. So we decided to get a contract, sign the contract saying that we don't have any intention to do the gaming in our business. So I don't see any special issues with this, getting the special use permit for this business.
Thank you. Now I'd like to declare the public hearing open and ask anyone in attendance wishing to speak on the matter to please approach the mic. Anyone wishing to speak? Seeing none, declare the public hearing closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you can accept the conditions as presented by staff?
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to now turn it over to the planning commissioners for discussion and possible motion.
Mr. Chairman, if there are no comments, this is a great restaurant.
Thank you, sir.
Incredible interiors, and you run a great operation. I'd make a motion for approval.
Thank you.
Motion's been made. Please cast your votes.
Thank you very much.
Post. Motion carries.
Goes forward to council on March 18th.
Item number 35, RQR 31931. The applicant owner is Bell Real Estate LLC. Required review for an approved special use permit for a 28-foot tall, 12-foot by 24-foot off-premise billboard sign at 1719 Industrial Road. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, the subject sign is located in a commercial industrial zoning district within the downtown Centennial Plan and is not within the off-premise exclusionary zone. Staff finds that there is no adverse impact regarding the continued use of the off-premise sign, as there have been no significant changes in the development or land use in the surrounding area since the sign was installed. Therefore, staff is recommending approval. Thank you.
Thank you. I am going to have to abstain on this matter due to political considerations, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Truesdale to handle.
The applicant?
Yep. Scott Nafsker, Lamar Advertising, 1863 Helm Drive. We accept all staff's conditions and ask for your approval.
And staff, the sign is all dolled up, everybody's happy?
That is correct.
All right. This was advertised a public hearing. Anybody here wish to speak on this item, please come forward. Seeing no one, close public hearing. Commissioners, any comments?
Seeing none, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Goins?
I'll make a motion to approve item 35, RQR 31931, subject to all staff's recommendations and conditions.
There's a motion for approval. Please cast your vote. And that is approved with Chairman Trowbridge abstaining, and that will go on
Council
City
on
Council.
March 18th.
Great. March 18th.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Napster, you're about 4-0.
The DA advised me that I need to be a little more definitive in my reason for abstaining, and it's because I am running for political office and have a relationship with this gentleman, not this particular company, but this gentleman, where they had helped me with my campaign. So hopefully that's adequate. Thank you.
You're 4-0 so far this year, huh?
I'll see you next week.
Yeah, okay. We'll change that. Yeah.
And I'll play no part in it. Okay. Item number 36 is a site development review, 32732. The applicant is the Bank of Nevada. The owner is BW Nevada Holdings, LLC, for a proposed 26-space parking lot expansion and main entry plaza remodel with a waiver of the landscape buffer standard to allow a 5-foot landscape buffer along the south perimeter where 15 feet is required at 2700 West Sahara Avenue. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, the additional parking at this location will bring the subject site into compliance with current Title 19 standards for parking. In regards to the landscape waiver, staff can support that as there is additional landscaping that's currently encroaching into the public right-of-way and is there through an encroachment permit. Staff recommends approval of this item.
Thank you. Now I'd like to declare the public hearing open. Anyone in attendance wishing to speak on the matter should approach the microphone and give your name for the record and state your case. On behalf of the applicant, we have?
I'm Dennis Penars with KGA Architecture, 4495 South Polaris Avenue. I'm here to represent the client. And right now, what we have proposed is a parking lot expansion of 26 spaces. It's located right here along the south side of the property, along Sahara Avenue, and it will, as stated, just bring going along with a interior renovation, and it's just going to bring up the parking requirements up to current Title 19 codes.
Thank you. Anyone else in attendance wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Turn the matter over to the planning commissioners for discussion and possible motion with the or you need to give us an indication as to accept all conditions.
We are in agreement with all conditions and staff recommendations.
Thank you.
For the record, sir, I was there today and met with one of your managers, and I was most concerned that your disabled parking was up to speed, which was inclusive of the new parking, and you have more than adequate parking. So I'd like to recommend approval for this item, and thank you. That's okay with everybody?
Motion.
So, motion for approval of SGR 32732 with all staff's recommendations, and please keep an eye on those handicap spots for me. Thank you.
Motion has been made. Please cast your votes. Post. Motion carries.
Goes forward to council March 18th.
Item number 37 is site development review, 32790. The applicant owner is the City of Las Vegas. It's for a proposed city park on the northwest corner of Tropical Parkway and Durango Drive. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed public park facility is consistent with the goals of the Centennial Hills sector plan of the general plan and is compatible with the surrounding area, as well will provide beneficial amenities for the area residents. Therefore, staff recommends approval. Please note additional letters of support have been received after the publishing. Thank you.
I'd like to declare the public hearing open and invite anyone in attendance wishing to speak on the matter. Please approach the microphone and give your name for the record to state your case. And on behalf of the applicant, we have?
Yeah, on behalf of the applicant, Pat Bate, City of Las Vegas Department of Public Works, I'd like to state that we agree to the conditions of approval, and I'd like to add to it that city staff's desirous to keep moving forward with the development of the site. When complete, will be known as Raptor Park at the Thunderbird Sports Complex and add to the enjoyment of nearby residents and those who reside in Ward 6, Steve Ross.
Anyone else in attendance wish to speak on this matter? Sir?
Thank you. Todd Farley, 240 North 19th Street. I'm all for it, but on that previous thing that we saw on the screen, there was a triangle that was out there all by its lonesome. Is that going to be part of this? On the previous screen here, when it said when it showed the location.
Across the road?
Right,
Across Durango Drive?
Right, across the road there's a triangle piece. Sticking out.
I could answer that.
Please
question.
do.
Todd, when the park is done, and pursuant to it being patented, then that other piece on the other side of Durango will become a part of a proposed park across the street. That will be called the vocational park. It'll be all part of the Thunderbird Sports Complex. So that triangular piece will become part of that bigger parcel on the other side of Durango, east of Durango.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in attendance wishing to speak? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed and turn it over to the planning commissioners for discussion and possible motion.
There's no discussion, Mr. Chairman. I'm prepared to make a motion for approval. Agenda item number 37, site development review, 32790.
Motion has been made. Please cast your votes. Post. Motion carries.
And that is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Okay, thank you, Chairman.
Regards to item number 38, site development review 32826, the applicant owner is Project Alta LLC and Project Alta 2 LLC for proposed office development consisting of two 4-story, 120,000 square foot buildings, one 5-story, 150,000 square foot building, and one 6-story, 1,679 space parking structure with a waiver of the building placement and orientation standards at the northwest corner of Alta Drive and Martin Luther King Boulevard. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, before we start, I've got to abstain on this. Our law firm has done some work in connection with this project.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, in regards to the waiver and exceptions requested, staff finds those to be acceptable as there's adequate landscaping and screening provided throughout the project to compensate for the request. As such, staff recommends approval of this project. Please note we have received additional support letters.
Thank you. Now I'd like to declare the public hearing open. Anyone in attendance wishing to speak on this matter, please approach the microphone and give your name for the record. And for the applicant, we have?
Mr. Chairman, Greg Borgel, 300 South 4th Street, here for the owner and applicant, although the ultimate user of the property is intended to be the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. This is the office complex that you've heard a great deal about in the press and otherwise, which we now believe is ready to go and appropriately designed as your staff has analyzed. We accept all the conditions proposed by your staff, and in fact, we want to take a moment to thank both your planning and public works staff for working with us conscientiously on those conditions, and we're inclined, since this has gotten a lot of publicity already, not to belabor the issue and just take your questions.
Thank you. Anyone else in attendance wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed and turn it over to the planning commissioners for discussion and possible motion.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question, please. The question is related to construction staging. I know that area through there has been problematic. Has there been any thought to the various build-out? Would it be simultaneous building, or is it be done in phases? Do you know, Mr. Borgel?
Our inclination at present is to build the entire project. That doesn't mean that we would not have room on the site to do on-site staging to a large extent, because, as you can see, there's considerable surface parking, if we could get to the site plan here at some point, surface parking that would provide a staging area, but it is not intended to be built in like phases over the years.
Thank you.
And, Mr. Chairman, just to note, condition number 18 requires a comprehensive staging construction plan.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I had some questions just concerning the design and configuration. You've got all this surface parking. Is this going to be open, just landscaped, or is there going to be a fence around this? Or I mean, how is this project going to read to the street, I guess?
Sure.
What-
It is, in fact, going to be open as viewed from the street. The surface parking in front of the building is intended for the public. The police-secured parking would be in the structure to the rear. So it should have a reasonably open feel to it with landscaping and the usual design standards.
And is some of the other projects that we've looked at on this site in the past that have had structures because of the residential around there, how's the garage to the, I don't want to say the west because I don't have these blown up here, the secured park, is that screened, finished? What is the exterior elements along that?
It would have a finished appearance. It's not proposed to be a plain gray structure. It, of course, has landscaping and a setback. However, it is a multi-story structure, so it won't be screened in the sense that it will be invisible. We hope it'll be attractive.
Okay. And this is a great project, and I do support it. Hopefully it gets going quickly.
Any other comments? Ready for a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on item 38 for approval, SDR 32826, subject to all staff's recommendations and conditions.
Motion's been made. Please cast your votes. Post.
Goes forward to council on March 18th.
I believe we had the arrangements to go March 4th, and in fact, it's...
That is absolutely correct. That is a meeting that we can get to, and that is on my information. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank all of you.
Next item up is item number 39. It's Site Development Review 32837. The applicant owner is Saltwater Center, LLC, for proposed 5,375 square foot restaurant with drive-through and retail building located on the south side of Bonanza Road, approximately 450 east of Pecos Road. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed development complies with Title 19 requirements and will facilitate the build-out of the last pad site within the Pecos Bonanza Plaza commercial subdivision. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of this application. Thank you.
I'd like to declare the public hearing open. Anyone in attendance wishing to speak on the matter, please approach the microphone and give your name for the record. For the applicant, we have
Applicant owner Luis Gutierrez, 7500 West Lake Mead Boulevard, Las Vegas, 89128.
Mr. Gutierrez, would you accept the conditions as presented in the staff report?
I agree to all the conditions, yes.
Thank you. Anyone else in attendance wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed. Turn the matter over to the planning commissioners for discussion and possible motion.
Thank you. Sir, can you tell me what kind of a restaurant you propose to put there? Do you have a tenant in mind? Or
We
is it
had
your-
a tenant in mind. I mean, I can mention it. Do I?
Okay.
It's a donut. It's a donut fast food. Yeah.
Great.
Tenant.
Well, I just happen to note, and I think most of us, and I know the city council and their staff has really wanted development in that area, and I appreciate your investment. But the thing that caught me when reading the staff report is it says, and we see this so rarely at planning, it says the proposal meets all Title 19 requirements. So I applaud you for providing all the sufficient necessary parking and doing everything according to the standards. So if there's no objection, I'd like to make a motion for approval of agenda item number 39, the site development review 32837.
Motion's been made. Please cast your votes. Post. Commissioner Goins? Okay, there we go. Thank you, and the motion carries.
Item goes forward to council on March 18th.
Thank you.
We now move to item number 43, which is the citizens' participation. The public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. No subject may be acted upon by the Planning Commission unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allotted, may be limited.
Thank you. Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. Commissioner Buckley, welcome back. Long time no see. And I hope that your selection was based on your past performance. And not only that, but I see we saved money on the sign. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in attendance wishing to speak? Seeing none, I'll declare the public or the hearing or the meeting closed. Thank you.